Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
A very good afternoon to you from downtown snowy Rochester. We welcome you in to the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us and listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Our stream up on the YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. And you can also find us on our home online, the free-to-download Odyssey app.
Danger is one of those days where I just have to tell you there will be better days than this as you're coming down and the snow is falling here in High Falls, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't make me happy.
Well, you got opening day for the Wings coming up Tuesday. You got
that
baseball.
Doesn't make me happy either to see the Wings at to Innovative Field, and they're practicing and there's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me happy. I mean, I want it to be spring, and I think everybody playing baseball would like it to, be above freezing and not snowing, given where they've been for the last couple of months. Yeah, I kind of sour about seeing snowflakes in late March.
Honestly, I thought baseball kind of screwed this up because baseball for years, we're open on a Monday. And, they changed it to Thursday, but wait a second. What's on the calendar today?
It's a mistake.
You should open today.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow, okay, yeah, we'll be all excited.
Games count tomorrow, but we'll also be distracted tomorrow.
A little bit tomorrow night. Yeah. Oh, Alabama's playing. Oh, there's Duke. Honestly, we're a little divided tomorrow night. It's also crazy that baseball put only really one game on tomorrow night, Tigers and Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, if it does anything for me, it motivates me to get the Garagio up and going. Maybe this weekend, we'll see what the weather is. I'm sure it's not going to be nice, but I might tough it out and be like, all right, let me start to clean things out here a little bit. Let's start. If it does snow a heavy amount, you can blame me. I'm thinking about moving the snowblower back to the shed.
I have a confession to make to you, Danger, because sometimes there's a TV commercial and it speaks to you directly. And I don't know, and I wouldn't give credit anyways, but there's this commercial running. It's not the piggy wee one. Commercial running.
Nice callback to what, 2002 with that one guy? Way to go. Yeah, way to dust off that dinosaur.
They've run out of ideas.
Jeez.
So let's
it's bad enough Hollywood has run out of creative ideas. Now the ads are the same as they were 20 years ago.
Well, I should be surprised. They brought back the caveman. The Cash characters will come back, whatever.
Yeah.
I digress. There's some commercial about a guy talking about redoing his kitchen, and then it's a running joke, unbeknownst to him, that he talks about it and never actually does it until the bank magically makes the money appear. That's me and the egg. That's me and the grill.
You still haven't done it. You haven't pulled the trigger.
I have to this year. This
is the year?
This is the year.
Oh.
I don't want to be the one who cares about you.
Join the
grilling.
tribe. Yeah, join the tribe of idiots who spend way too much money on a smoker or grill just so we can say we have that smoker or grill and we make these amazing, amazing smoked meats and smoked meals and pizzas and everything that I make. I'm a little displaced because we're turning our covered patio into a sunroom this spring.
Oh.
And so I'm without a patio / outdoor cooking space for a couple of months here. We were able to kind of get through the winter. I only did a couple of cooks through the winter, less than I normally would do with the covered patio. But when it's all done, I'm sure it'll be great, but I'm kind of in limbo with my outdoor cooking space for the next couple of months.
So you have a Garagio and an actual patio. Mm-hmm. So what will determine whether it's a Garagio night or a patio night?
So we'll have we've had this discussion in the house because the sunroom is being built, and the debate is TV in the sunroom or not. And I'm like, you know what? I'm saying no. I'm saying no to the TV in the sunroom. We're putting a fireplace in the sunroom for the winter, so we can be out there in the wintertime. And it's going to be sliders on both sides. Mistake to do sliders.
No, mistake to not put the TV out in the patio.
Oh, tell me why. No, not the patio, the sunroom. The covered patio, as it exists right now, does not have a TV. It's just a covered patio.
Okay. So
an outdoor dining space / cooking space.
I'm totally confused. The covered patio is not becoming the sunroom?
The covered patio is becoming the sunroom.
Ah, okay. That's what I'm saying. TV and sunroom.
Why?
Why? Because you'll be spending the majority of your time. That is where the girls will be. And the garagio, let's be honest, it's meant for cars. So, honestly.
Disagree. When it's screened in the summertime and I've got the ceiling fans working and we got some circulation in there and it's nice and dark at night and I got the big projector, it is not for cars at that moment. Now I'm living out there. I've got the fridge within arm's reach. I mean, it's too good.
I would be able to give you a review, but let's see. Let me count here. 24, 23, 25, 4, 3. No.
How often are you in my
10
neighborhood?
Years. Never.
You're never in my neighborhood to visit your more successful, better-looking older brother?
I'm not going to, ding dong. Hey, Sandy, I'm over here. Yeah, can Danger come out and play?
Just give me a heads up, buddy. Give me a heads up. I'm probably in the garage watching a baseball game at night. Yeah. I'll be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs out there. I mean, it's just, do I want to start it this weekend? Do I want to jinx everybody and put the snowblower away this weekend? Or do I want to wait another weekend or two?
Oh, you want to wait another weekend too, or that?
It's going to be tough.
Speaking of jinxes, Dan, it's your fault that the Sabres did so well because you were making fun. And Dan DeLorean went to the and I apologize for giving you that type of voice, Dan, but you were not happy with me that the Sabres actually won, and we're to blame, Danger, for
We're to blame.
Yeah, for Dylan Cousins wishing he would score a hat trick last night.
Oh, yeah, right. We're the reverse jinx on that one. Well, good for them. And could we not talk about them for the rest of the afternoon?
That's the quota. That's it.
Good.
10 seconds are up. Yep.
We've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon, and we will talk some NFL draft. Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com, team reporter, and Maddie does the work for us. Why we love Maddie and having her on this time of year, she's tracked about 70 or so mock drafts. And in doing that, she's tracked some trends and what are the mock drafts saying and who do the Bills take in the majority of these mock drafts and what names are kind of being mocked to the Bills. And what do we know about these prospects? Maddie's doing the work that we don't have the time to do. That's why we'll have her on with us today.
Listen, it's great because now is the time. We're less than a month away. Yes, Kenneth Grant. We know that name. There are some other names. There are some other positions that maybe the Buffalo Bills, should they stick at 30? But let's be honest, Brandon Beane more often than not does not stay. Last year moving down. Years past moving up. But what would be the options for the Buffalo Bills in the first round? Maddie Glab coming up at 425. I do have a question for you about this, Danger, though, because mock drafts and the industry that has become, is it just a circle of people that, watch tape and everything else, but there's not a lot of independent thought on this? Because every draft, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. And is there a gap between your experts and the actual talent evaluators?
So the talent evaluators for the teams versus the experts. I'll say this. I think a lot of teams look at what the talent evaluators look at and kind of think to themselves that there might be something there. And I'm sure a lot of the talent evaluators, or I'm sure a lot of the people that are quote-unquote draft experts would love to be thought of as talent evaluators by a team and actually hammer a paycheck from an NFL club rather than host their own podcast on their own website where they have their own products to sell, whether it be draft kits or, whatever it might be.
Right. There are guys that do their own original content that will go down to Mobile, that are going to the combine. Not talking about those guys.
So I think of a guy like Warren Sharp.
Yeah.
I think of a guy like Warren Sharp who just is an analytics guy. He's just a numbers guy. But he knows how to look at those numbers and spot trends. And I might be wrong on this, but I think that he is actually on the payroll of some NFL teams. That some NFL teams will pay him, whatever for some of his services. He doesn't disclose that. I don't think he's ever disclosed which teams, but he's always sharing these numbers.
If you're an NFL team, why wouldn't you buy? He's probably one of the best, right? When it comes to that, why wouldn't
I
you
view
buy,
him as one of the best.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you buy it just as a resource? So you're saying some teams actually have him on call, perhaps.
Make him as an investment. Yeah, he's a guy that we'll tap into. We need a report quick, or we need something quick on this guy, or show us what you know about this trend or about this player or whatever it is. I mean, Some of these guys, I can't wrap my mind around the numbers that they throw out there. These advanced stats don't make any sense to me a lot of the times, but they seem to be able to predict what's going to happen before it happens. I think that at the end of the day, these are takes as well, right? Like somebody's going to do a mock draft with something wild happening, and it's partially to differentiate themselves from what everybody else might be saying or doing or thinking. And so your mock draft actually just becomes a take on what this team might do or how the first round might shake out or whatever it is. I mean, you think about a guy like Mel Kiper, right? The original draft expert. I mean, all he ever had was takes. And a lot of those times he would share his thoughts on a prospect, and the prospect would get pissed off and have to prove him wrong. Or Mel would say, you know what, I got it wrong. I thought this was going to happen, and I was wrong. That happened instead.
Mel Kiper once pumped the tires way high on Jimmy Clausen, if you remember that name out of Notre Dame.
Yes,
this
I
guy
do.
Is going to be a friend. Well,
The Chicago Bear quarterback for a while. Try to
Yeah.
forget that era of Bears football. But yes. So I like that Maddie does this work this time of year, that she scouts and scours through all of the mock drafts and will give us some kind of names to look out for, some consensus names that she's seen, some trends that she's spotted in doing this work. She'll join us in the 4 o'clock hour right around 4:30. Maddie Glad from BuffaloBills.com stops by. But more importantly today,
Yeah.
the most important thing we will discuss this afternoon in the sports
This is
bar.
actually a handwritten bracket by you.
Yep.
And I am going to be along for the ride.
I have not shared any of this with you.
This is all Mike Danger, folks. I had no input on this.
This is the 2025 Baltimore East bracket, hun. Got to throw hun in there because that's Baltimore East. PJ Glasser is going to stop by at 3:25. He's the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network. Now I've got 2 regions, 16 seeds per region.
Okay.
The Old Bay region and the Stoop region. You know what a stoop is?
No.
You would call it your front porch.
Okay.
They call it a stoop.
Yeah, like the Old Bay is what you put on the crab,
Yeah,
right?
Old Bay is
Yeah,
seasoning
yeah.
and Stoop is. So the Old Bay region and the Stoop region. I've got 16 seeds in each region. I don't know that we'll get to to both regions today, but my goal is to at least get through one of these regions with PJ today. And maybe we whip through it and we just, maybe we crown a champion today. Maybe we drive it into next week as well.
I think you should. Look, the NCAA stretches it out over 3 weeks. There's no reason to crown a champ today.
We won't crown a champ today, but maybe we can narrow down the field from what it is now at 32 to the Sweet 16 to mirror where we are in the NCAA tournament. And then next week we can maybe narrow it down to the Final Four or even crown a champion next week. But I did put a little bit of thought into this, and there are some curveballs in here. This is not necessarily what last year's Baltimore East bracket was. This is a little bit different, with some consistency, but a little bit different. And if you don't know what we're talking about, this originated, if you have friends or family members from Baltimore, they're the first to tell you they have an accent. And they know they have an accent, but they don't realize that they have an accent until you say you have an accent.
This, if I recall correctly, was when the women's national soccer team was going down to New Zealand, and this is before they bottomed out. And PJ, we're just getting to know him a little bit, and it's summertime. And
I knew he was from Baltimore.
Yeah, here's something different we can kind of bet on. And he's going through this. I remember holding back a chuckle, and we had to call him out on it.
Yeah,
Right
we
then.
said,
It was a good sport,
what's
yeah.
her name, PJ? Megan Rapinoe. Megan Rapinoe.
Megan Rapinoe.
Now, this is an old Scott Van Pelt, Tim Kirkchin, but Van Pelt also a Baltimorean, and he would rip off the Baltimore accent to Tim Kirkchin, and Kirkchin would just die. Live on SportsCenter or SVP, he would start cracking up. And I have a friend from Baltimore who will bust out his Baltimore accent, and I can't help it. When he starts ripping off these names of athletes, it cracks me up every time. They're wonderful. It's a wonderful, beautiful accent. I can't wait to get PJ and his takes on these names that I've given.
So to review, this happened organically early on with PJ.
Yes.
We acknowledge the Godfather here, being Van Pelt here, but doesn't make it any less funny when we're doing
still
this.
Great.
PJ.
It's still great. And by the way, Megan Rapinoe is a 5 seed. I'll give you that little nugget right there. She's a 5 seed. She's a 5 seed in the Old Bay.
The defending champ is Apollo Anton Ono.
Apollo Anton Ono was a pull that the first time my buddy from Baltimore said Apollo Anton Ono to me, I pointed and laughed at him for 5 minutes straight, and we couldn't stop laughing. Apollo Anton Ono won it all last year. He's a 1 seed this year as the defending champ in the Stoop region.
I'm curious if that linebacker for the Bills just took a pay cut. Very popular.
Matt Milano
Did
not make the tournament.
Ooh.
In fact, you'll see when we get into it, there are some changes. It's been slightly modified. Some unexpected twists and turns coming up in the Baltimoreese bracket, hun. That's coming up here with PJ Glasser less than 10 minutes from now. The host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider and Insider Calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
We will also have Disturbed tickets today, giveaway today.
Yeah.
So.
Give us a shot on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line anytime this afternoon. 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, ER, goodsmokebbq.com. Couple of free agent signings that occurred just as we were getting off the air last night here in the Sports Bar. We'll start with the New York Giants signing Russell Wilson.
Okay, that has to be the funnest quarterback room of all time. Like we're going to look back like 25 years from now. Hey, do you remember when you had Mr. Unlimited, Jameis Winston, he's fun, and our guy Tommy Cutlets is still there.
Giants country, let's cry. Giants country, let's cry. Giants country, let's cry.
Let's ride.
Let's cry.
Let's
cry.
Broncos.
Giants country, let's cry.
Perfect. Okay. One more time. Broncos country.
Let's cry.
Broncos country.
Let's cry. Yeah. I think
Broncos country.
I think all of this being said does not deter them at all from still drafting a quarterback.
Well, I could see this playing out. Shador at 3 could still easily be the pick. I'm sorry, the odd man out probably is Tommy DeVito. Danger. I'd hate to see that.
Yeah, or they could get credit for what, like Winston rather is getting $4 million fully guaranteed from the Giants reportedly, and they would still get credit if they were to cut him for whatever he makes elsewhere, even if it's a league minimum of $1.255 million.
Right. So, or you could, if there's some team that's desperate enough when the season begins, hey, would you like Jameis Winston for a draft pick? Those are all options. This does not mean...
You notice how I mentioned they'd cut Winston before they would cut DeVito. Because he's Italian!
You can't see Jameis Winston as a third-string quarterback for this team.
I could see Jameis Winston getting cut if they draft Shador Sanders. Honestly, what this does is it doesn't put the pressure on them to reach for a Shador. If they don't believe Shador is worth the number 3 overall pick, then you can wait.
If you like Jackson Dart, then trade in at the end of the first round and get him. Or Milroe, or whoever it would be.
Right. This could end up being just a big smokescreen for the Giants to be able to get who they want to get at quarterback in this class.
Also, there's a side effect here. Hey, Pittsburgh, how you feeling there?
Yeah.
That was plan B, wasn't it? Apparently, Russell Wilson was still holding out hope that maybe, no, I guess I'm going to go.
My dream was Wilson to the Browns. I thought that would have been chaos. I would have loved to have seen Russell Wilson. Dog pound, let's bark. Dog pound, let's bark. No, it's Russ going to the Giants, and it's $10.5 million guaranteed, so you could essentially view it as a 1-year, $10.5 million deal for Russell Wilson in New York. This is a desperate team. This is a desperate GM, a desperate head coach. And why I believe that this doesn't prevent them from drafting somebody is if they're gone next year and you're gutting it all over again with a new GM and a new head coach, at least you'll have a second-year quarterback to kind of work with. As long as that rookie quarter, if it's Shador and Shador flames out horribly in year one, then you could say, well, we're going to start over with guys that are more in line with Shador in year two.
Danger, this all sounds great, but let me just kind of give you a business analogy. We had a sales manager here. He had a rule. He called it passing the trash. Like, there are some businesses that are either late on their bills or what. I don't want to deal with this. Hey, it's your problem. You're not passing the trash to anybody else. We essentially have the Jets, the Steelers, and the Giants all passing their trash.
Yeah.
Because once the Rodgers signing happens in Pittsburgh, that's essentially a three-way trade.
Yeah.
So good luck to these teams. It's not going to magically happen for any of these quarterbacks in a new setting. You're kidding yourselves. What the Giants should do is identify which quarterback gives us the best chance to develop and actually be the guy. And if it's Shador, get him at 3. I wouldn't be opposed to moving up to number 2 if I'm a Giant fan just to get him. Make sure. If you think one of the other guys, well, then make sure you get back into the first round.
Cam Ward, by the way, holding a private workout with the Browns today. That's assuming he doesn't go number 1 overall to Tennessee, but Cleveland holding their private workout, doing their due diligence with Cam Ward. The other free agent signing of note is our pal Steph Diggs, landing in New England 3 years and a nice contract, $69 million, $26 million guaranteed for Stephon Diggs. And coming off of an ACL on the wrong side of 30, this, again, is a team that is desperate. You have to make a move. You have to have a name. You have to have somebody that you can say to a fan base that'll grow impatient. Yeah, no, we said we were going to get him weapons. See, we got him weapons. We got Drake May a weapon. Steph Diggs is a weapon for Drake May, and maybe Steph Diggs can do for Drake May what he helped do for Josh Allen when he came to Buffalo. That's the way I view it. It's a lot of money, but they have the money to spend, and it's a name that can maybe satiate a fan base.
Yeah, that's well said. That's about it. And it's a year ahead of the Josh Allen timeline, meaning Allen shows up rookie year, he has nothing. Allen year number 2, they make the postseason, but gosh, Duke Williams, no, get something better year number 3. Let's go time. Okay, so this is year number 2 in New England, and they're saying Diggs will be ready week 1. Okay, that ACL happened in November. What this will cause is for everybody in Western New York to sit up straight. Okay, we look at the Patriots as the chief competitor because, well, talent-wise, they're probably closest in the gap. Fun fact, Danger, did you know since Tom Brady left, every year but one, the Patriots have won at least one game against Buffalo? Okay, this year was kind of the throwaway game, but the point remains that New England has won meaningful games against Josh Allen, whether it's the win game, whether it was, wow, we fell asleep in Foxborough in October. There have been some bad moments against this team. I'm totally fine with Diggs because it's going to serve a purpose. It's going to be like, okay, this is the team that's coming for us. Yeah. Everybody sit up straight.
Yeah, I mean, that's before you even mention they have the second best head coach in the division now behind Sean McDermott. I mean, Mike Vrabel can turn things around there, and I think he can do it fairly quickly. So that's not a nothing. The number was a bit surprising to me, but when you consider how much money they have to spend and the fact that Diggs, they probably do see value in just a name brand coming in to catch balls from Drake May.
On the Patriots, too, let's not forget the thank you we have to write to Mr. Mayo. For not laying down. Can you think of where the Patriots would be today, Danger, if they held the cards at number 1? Instead, they're sitting there at 4. All they had to do was lose that game to Buffalo.
That's right.
You're number 1. Take whoever you want, or you know what? Reap the benefits.
Yeah.
And foolishly, they didn't do that. Cost the guy his job, and we'll see how far it knocks the franchise back.
So great. All right, we got to get to PJ Glasser. Yes, we will get PJ. We won't just bother PJ with his Baltimore accent. We will also get his picks for the Sweet 16. Everything getting underway tomorrow night with Major League Baseball getting underway as well. I wonder if there's some over/under win totals that PJ likes here on the
futures.
Eve. Yeah, some futures to talk about for Major League Baseball. So PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network, our guest next on the Fan.
update.
Wide receiver Steph Diggs landing with a divisional rival. 3 years with the New England Patriots. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live. Breaking down the Patriots next season.
Yeah, I think they could be like an 8-9 team, maybe even a 9-8 team. And I don't think games against them are going to be easy. And to me, that's saying something because Mike Vrabel, I just think that guy's the best coach in the division this side of Sean McDermott in comparison to Glenn and Mike McDaniel.
Major League Baseball's opening day is tomorrow. The Yankees opening up in the Bronx, 3 o'clock against Milwaukee. Tomorrow, also the Sweet 16. PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Rochester Americans begin their final 3-game in 3-day stretch this Friday, hosting Bridgeport. Saturday, the home-and-home begins with Syracuse. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Believe me when I tell you this will be the most important moment of the show. You want to listen to this moment more than any other moment for this afternoon's episode of the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. We are joined now by the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. PJ, I know we've got Major League Baseball starting tomorrow. I know we've got the Sweet 16. But let's talk about something that's really important, very important in the sports bar. The Baltimore E's Bracket 2025, hun. I've got it. I literally spent minutes on this earlier today, and I can't wait to crown a champion. Now, my goal here, we've got 2 regions, 16 seeds per region. The Old Bay region and the Stoop region.
Oh, I'm intrigued. The only thing I'm a little bummed about is that you guys didn't make the drive down to Olean to do this bracket. Otherwise, I'm ready to go.
All right. Let's start with the Old Bay region, and we'll try to go as rapid fire as we can here. We're going to start with the number 1 seed, elite quarterback, elite Baltimorean, Joe Flacco, versus the 16 seed, the color blue.
The color blue.
Yeah, I just want to hear you say the word blue.
Well, we have had a Baltimore team, pull off a 16 upset before with UMBC,
Yeah.
but that will not be happening again this time. So, no upset with the color blue, but we're going with Joe Flacco on to the next round.
Very good. All right, a 15 and a 2. The 2 seed would be Placido Polanco against the 15 seed, still alive in the Sweet 16. That would be Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo.
Oh, we do love us some Izzo, but the fact that you get the first name and the last name with Placido Polanco, we're advancing him as well.
Very good.
All chalk so far.
So far, so good. All right, the 3 seed against the 14 seed in the Old Bay region. We've got Benito Santiago against streaming service Hulu.
We're this is spectacular. We're gonna go with Benito Santiago. I do love me some Hulu, but Benito is gonna advance.
All right, very good. We move on to a 4-13. By the way, this is the golden age of Orioles baseball for anybody with the Baltimore accent. I mean, I feel like your third base prospect, Kobe Mayo, a 4th seed against 13 seed. We're talking about Toronto Blue Jays outfielder Joey Luperfido. Who you got?
You know what? We're gonna go with an upset here. We're gonna go with Joey Luperfido, and the reason is because Kobe Mayo just goes by too quick. I want something that kind of hangs off the tongue for a little bit.
Need more syllables. I get it.
Exactly. Yeah. Danger, I will say, a little bit of a missed opportunity. You could have gone Manny Machado because he was a former Oriole, played third base, and he wore 13, so he could have gone 4-13 there. But
all right. Well, look, we don't want any spoilers, but I will tell you, Manny Machado is making an appearance in the Baltimore Rays bracket 2025, hon.
I like it, hon. All right, we're going with Lil Perfido advancing, little upset there with the 4-13.
All right, this is a 5-12 matchup, and we know what 5-12 matchups can do. With the 5 seed, we're going with the genesis of us discovering your Baltimoreese, your accent, and we're going to go with Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. Women's National Team star, against character actor, the 12 seed Hector Elizondo.
We have to go with Rapinoe. Like you said, that started it all. That was the name that just put all of this in motion. So I don't even remember the last name you said. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know who that actor is. So we're going to go with Megan Rapinoe.
All right, a 6'11", couple of Major League Baseball all-timers. Pitchers, Bartolo Colon, the 6 seed, versus the 11 seed, Jesse Orosco.
Oh, my goodness, fellas. This is, I mean, that's a powerful 6 seed. Wow. Bartolo Colon. I mean, that name, it's such a shame he did not pitch for the Orioles. We got to go with Bartolo. He's moving on.
Very good. Now in a 7-10, former Major League Baseball pitcher, Hippolito Pichardo, against the 10 seed, Juan Soto.
Man, this bracket, it's like the SEC. There's so much quality in like these 6 and 7 seeds. I gotta go with Hippolito Pichardo. I mean, the fact that somebody named their kid Hippolito, and then the fact that their last name is Pichardo, you gotta move them on.
Wow, this is a 7 seed that I think it makes noise in this year's tournament.
Wow,
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like there's some momentum with the 7 seed here in Hippolito Pichardo. All right, we'll wrap up the first round of the Old Bay region with an 8-9 matchup. You'll hear him on Sunday Night Baseball. That would be Eduardo Perez and the 9 seed, the word on.
The word on. You know what? I'm actually just going to go with the word on.
I thought we would have a little bit of an upset there. Yep, absolutely.
Because right, it's like on, you know, so why not? Let's go with that.
Yep.
That advances.
All right, so we've narrowed that field down to 8. And we will. We'll do. What do you want to do, Gino? Should we get some bets, some wins from PJ, and then maybe we can wrap up our conversation with the Stoop region?
I'm in tears.
I mean, does anybody even want to hear bets? Like, I mean, truly,
all right. Well, look,
take Michigan plus the points. You know, take the first half over in Bama BYU. Lay it with Duke and call it a day. That's all you got to do.
Wow, BJ, any baseball futures before we get back to the bracket here? Opening day tomorrow here.
Yeah, I like the Reds, you guys, in the NL Central. I mean, and this just sets up perfectly. Our guy Terry Francona is in Cincinnati right now for the Reds. You know who also used to play for the Reds? Joey Votto used to be the first baseman in Cincinnati. I like this Reds team, though. I don't think the Cubs are going to be as good as everybody else thinks. They obviously made the move for Kyle Tucker in the offseason. It's just Francona for me. I mean, this guy, everywhere he goes, his teams win. Obviously with Boston, with Cleveland, he had a great run there. I don't think he would have come out of retirement if he didn't know what he had in this Reds team and he didn't like that young nucleus. So I think we were a year too early on the Reds. A lot of people expected them to go to the postseason last year, but I think this is the year to buy in on them. So I like Cincinnati, and I like Texas, fellas. I mean, this is what Bruce Bochy's teams do, right? When he was with San Francisco, they'd win a World Series, they'd be great, then they'd take a year off, and then they'd come back the next year, and they'd be great also. So I like Texas in the AL West. Seattle did nothing to improve their lineup. I still think they're going to struggle to score runs, and I still think Houston's going to be good. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but even when they had Bregman and Tucker and all these guys, you know, the last couple of years, they don't care about the regular season. They just want to get into October, and then that's when their real season starts. So I like Texas in the AL West, Cincinnati in the NL Central.
Can you believe I asked this guy across from me if he knew what a stoop was, and he had no idea?
Yeah.
Oh, stoop. I mean, that's just it's fantastic.
You know what you'd call him if you're from Baltimore? You'd call him a dummy.
You would, exactly. Danger, how much fun did you guys have creating this bracket? Probably way too much.
I told you, PJ, I literally took minutes coming up with this, and it helps that I have some friends in your area to help me with this, and knowing them and knowing some of these all-timers, I can rip them off with relative ease. I've got the Stoop region if you want to rifle through this.
Let's do it. Stoop region, I'm ready to go.
All right, this is the Baltimore Ease bracket 2025, hon. And the 1 seed is the defending champion, the 2024 Baltimore Ease bracket champion, Olympic superstar Apollo Anton Ono, against the 16 seed, former MLB manager Leo Mazzoni.
Wow, it's a good 16 seed. I will have to say, Apollo Anton Ono, fellas, he's like UConn from the last couple years.
Yeah.
Like it's going to take an A+ effort to take down Apollo. So we'll have him cruising on to the next round.
All right, our 215 here, former pitcher Giovanni Gallardo, the 2 seed, against former female tennis star, the 15 seed Arantxa Sanchez Vicario.
I remember her, and you can tell that name to me 10 times. I still wouldn't
Don't
be
know
able
who
to
she
say
is,
it back to you. No idea. Giovanni Gallardo, he's advancing. What a great poll that is. What a great name that is. What's that game that we all play? The perfect immaculate grid.
Yeah.
Great one for that. Also great name for the Stoop region. He's advancing to the next round.
I'm telling you what, the next round, you're going to have that 1 versus 2 with Giovanni Gallardo against Apollo Anton Ono. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. We've got a 3 against a 14. Carlos Delgado, the 3 seed, against the phrase, Aaron earned an iron urn.
I don't know what that means, and I've never heard that phrase before.
I'd like you to try and say it in your best Baltimoreese, if you don't mind, PJ. That's Aaron earned an iron urn.
Aaron earned an iron urn. That's where we're going with Carlos Delgado. He's gonna move on. Good effort with the 14. That was like a tie game with 5 minutes to go, but Delgado pulled it out, moving on to the next round.
The 4 seed is NBA star Bam Adebayo against the 13 seed, the word Avenue.
Avenue. I almost cracked my voice there. We're just going with Bam Adebayo. Yeah, there's not enough. If you would have come back with ambulance, hon, because we do say it a little different in the
ambulance,
yeah. Ambulance, that could have been a little upset, but Avenue, just not much there. So we'll go with Bam.
All right, here we go with the 5-12, and to be looking to take many sips from the Homer hose in Baltimore this year, talking about Jorge Mateo versus fictional opera singer, the 12 seed Enrico Palazzo.
Ooh. Enrico Palazzo, Jorge Mateo. You know what? Let's go with Enrico. A little bit of an upset there. Obviously, Mateo's the current Oriole. Probably not going to get much time this year. And, love a good 5-12 upset. So we'll have Enrico Palazzo advancing.
The great Leslie Nielsen is smiling from the heavens. All right, we've got a 6 versus an 11. That would be former MLB reliever Antonio Bastardo against the 11 seed Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that one. Antonio Bastardo. Yeah, we got to go with Bastardo there. He's advancing.
I mentioned it earlier. The 7 seed Manny Machado against the 10 seed National Bohemian Beer, which I believe is referred to as Natty Bo around your parts.
Oh, that is. You love me a good Natty Bo while I'm watching the O's, hon. But former O was Manny Machado, and that's my guy. So do love a good Natty Bo, hon, but we got to go with Machado there moving on.
All right, very good. And finally, our 8-9 This would be your Orioles catcher prospect, Samuel Basallo, against the popular snack Doritos.
Oh, man. Doritos and Basallo. That's going to be – I mean, the fact the guy plays for the Orioles, fellas, give it a year. We're going to have Mayo, Mateo, and Basallo. So we gotta go Sam Basallo.
That's what I was saying. This is the golden age of Orioles baseball if you're
really
speaking
is.
Baltimoreese. All right, very good. We have narrowed it down to our Sweet 16. And I say next week we narrow it down even further. Maybe we get to our Final Four. We might even crown a champion next week.
All right, if I can, my favorite pull out of all those, Danger, and this is the footnote for both you gentlemen, because I had to look this name up. Hippolito Pichardo. One of those names you forgot about. Do you know what his full name is? And I don't know if this is going to sway the voting. Hippolito Antonio Pichardo.
He's got the middle name, too.
That's a triple.
That's a triple.
It's along the same lines as Apollo Antonono. I mean, that's the kind. I mean, even Antonono, you have a consonant ending his middle name. This was a triple header.
Hippolito Antonio. Can you say it, PJ?
Hippolito Antonio Pichardo. Wow. What seed number was Hippolito?
He was a 7. Yeah. Moving on.
Fellas, danger. He's Arkansas. Look out for him. Dangerous. Dangerous. Keep an eye out for Hippolito and keep an eye out for the Hogs, too.
All right. I know we kind of glazed over the Sweet 16, but let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up this weekend because, with Major League Baseball getting underway, tomorrow I feel like we're going to be a little bit distracted with the men's basketball tournament happening simultaneously.
It's a great sport. It doesn't get talked about enough, right? Like whenever we're making our list, it's like first 2 days of the tournament, Masters Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, first NFL Sunday, all incredible days. But man, I mean, these last couple of years we've had Sweet 16 and Opening Day, which is just awesome for us sports fans. We get baseball during the day going into the Sweet 16, but yeah, it should be a great day. Should be a great day tomorrow, you guys. I do like that first half over in the Bama and BYU game. As you guys know, I'm a Bama grad. That's my team. I watch every game. And I can tell you, our guy Nate Oates, when his teams play in these games with high totals, with good offensive teams, they're usually high-scoring first half. So I like the first half over in that game. I didn't bet anything in Maryland and Florida. Both teams kind of coming off their survive and advance game. I get a little nervous about like what to expect out of them kind of in the next one. So I laid off of that. I did lay it with Duke against Arizona. I know 9.5 is a lot of points, and Arizona's a really good team. I just fear that if you have an Arizona ticket in your hand, it's going to be one of those games where it starts and you're going to realize that you might be on the wrong side. And then, guys, I like Arkansas outright against Texas Tech. I think Calipari's team, think they're going to win that game. So the Sweet 16 tomorrow, I took that first half over in Bama. I laid it with Duke, and I took Arkansas outright as well. I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, and PJ, not to look too far ahead, but Friday's right around the corner. Anything in day 2 there you like?
Yeah, day 2, Tennessee, Kentucky for me was the hardest game to call. That of all the 8 games we have in the Sweet 16, guys, I didn't know what to do with that one. It's the third time they're meeting. Kentucky's beaten them twice. We know the old saying, right? Tough to beat a team 3 times, but actually that team that is trying to win 3 times usually does. So if I had to play it, I would take Kentucky in the game. I like Ole Miss plus the points against Michigan State. I've been wanting to fade Izzo and the Spartans, and I think we're getting a good spot to do it against the Rebels. So I like Ole Miss there plus the points. In Houston and Purdue, guys, and also in Kentucky and Tennessee, I took the first half under in both of those games. It's important to note that they're playing in the football stadium this weekend. They're playing at Lucas Oil in Indianapolis. They're not playing at the basketball arena. So I think that's gonna mess, the teams up, right? Obviously playing in a football stadium, the sight lines are a little bit different, Final Four type feel. And both of those games are featuring 2 of the best defenses in the country, in Tennessee and Houston. So I like the first half unders in both of those games. And then in the Auburn region with Michigan, I like Michigan plus the points. To me, the way that these 2 teams are trending, you guys, Auburn, they got a different feel to them right now to the way that they were at the beginning of the season. They look like the team to beat first 25 games or so. And recently, they've kind of been struggling a little bit. And Michigan, I know they went through a little lull there towards the end of the Big Ten regular season. They obviously won the Big Ten tournament. They beat Texas A&M, an SEC team that I think will prepare them for Auburn. So I just think 9.5 is too many points. I like Michigan plus the points in that one against Auburn.
Send it in where you can hear more of PJ Glasser on the BetMGM network. PJ, tell everybody about it.
Yeah, guys, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. No commercial break, fast-paced, 30 minutes. We run through everything, and it's an interactive show. So people who are listening to us and watching on YouTube, on Twitch, they can chime in with any questions that they have, any best bets. And we just run through it all. Talk baseball, college hoops, NBA, golf. We talk it all, fellas. So Monday through Friday, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on the BetMGM network.
The Glass Man, PJ Glasser, and you, sir, are a great sport. I will say that. You just play along. We really appreciate you, bud.
Man, you guys are awesome. Great work on the bracket. A lot of fun. Looking forward to the Sweet 16 next round. Can't wait.
Got it, PJ. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate the time as always, buddy.
All right, fellas. Take care.
He is the host of Send It In on the Odyssey and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. That's PJ Glasser. You can hear him on the BetMGM network. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
Mountain Dew, the color blue.
Avenue. On advanced. The word on actually advanced. Yeah. The 9 beat the 8, and on is in the Sweet 16. I thought maybe Doritos would have a chance, but really the only curveball that the only Cinderella is on, really.
Your friend that came up with Hippolito Pichardo. That's one of those names that you totally forgot about. Folks, he pitched from 92 to 02 with the Royals. The Red Sox ended up with Houston.
Man. Oh, God. I could listen to Baltimoreese all day. It just always makes me laugh. I feel I know it's Kirk-Ginian of me, but I can't help it. It is so funny.
No. On a day like today where, hey, we think we have spring last week. No, you don't. You live in Rochester. Did you forget?
Fake spring.
Fake spring. So we're back to this. So, yes, hopefully everybody found that as funny as we did.
Let's get a couple of tickets out to you to see the Disturbed Sickness 25th Anniversary Tour. It's coming to KeyBank Center April 4th, and you can get tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. It's Disturbed, the 25th anniversary of the Sickness Tour with Daughtry and Nothing More. Get free tickets now if you call 5 at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. WNBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Oh, this Bills-Patriots game's got a little more interesting next season. Steph Diggs landing with New England to the tune of 3 years, $69 million. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live talking about the direction of this franchise.
I don't think there's any question about this. Mike Vrabel is the most formidable coaching foe in the division for Sean McDermott right now, today. I think he's better than Mike McDaniel, better leader of men, and I think he's better than Aaron Glenn, who is completely unproven as a head coach.
We will talk some Bills football later this hour. Maddie Glab from BuffaloBills.com and One Bills Live. We'll talk some NFL draft coming up with Maddie. Major League Baseball's opening day coming up tomorrow. The Yankees hosting the Brewers. The Amerks begin a 3-game and 3-day stretch this Friday, final one of the season. Bridgeport, the opponent on Friday. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Russell Wilson has a new home. The Giants and Russ have come to terms on a one-year deal.
It's Mr. Unlimited.
And the Giants respond.
Entertainment value. This is the year for the Giants to be on Hard Knocks, not last year. Amazing.
Stephon Diggs back in the AFC East, getting a 3-year deal with the Patriots.
Today's 29 Eric Dickerson days from the draft.
I'm not as sold on the Parsons idea.
Mike Danger.
I got 2 cover models in my house, and then there's me. You know, put me on a cover of Dad Bod magazine, something that makes me feel somewhat adequate moving back into my house.
Gene Battaglia.
Jerry Jones is calling you Bill season ticket holder.
Richard Pitino, though, joining his dad in the Big East.
Lindy Ruff being honored his 600th regular season win as a Sabre head coach.
Alex Ovechkin, 889.
Baseball tomorrow for opening day.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back to the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. You can get us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. We've got our stream on YouTube and Twitch, The Fan Rochester. Our channel on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you are there. Big thank you to PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In, who joined us last hour and humored us with his Baltimore accent as we have gotten underway with the Baltimoreese bracket 2025, hun.
I got to meet some of your friends. You got friends all around the country here.
Yeah, no, my buddy Andy is from Baltimore. He actually came through the region with his parents through the Finger Lakes wine country this summer. So I got to spend the day with him, and I got to meet his parents, and we got to have some great wines over at
that was the one where you bought one bottle of wine.
No, I bought 2. I bought 2 bottles of wine.
Okay, 2.
Big spender. Yeah, I didn't buy a case or anything, but we enjoyed our time tasting wines at was it Silver Thread? I forget which lake that's off of. I think it might be Cuca, but it was great. It was a great afternoon, and he's the guy that kind of introduced me to Baltimoreese and Baltimore lifestyle, and he had a stoop that we would sit on and hang out in the summertime, and it's a thing, and people from Baltimore, they don't realize it, but yeah, ambulance would have been a good one because they don't say ambulance, they say ambulance, and they're did you eat is Jeet. It's not did you eat, it's Jeet. Yeah, it's Jeet. There's some good ones, but PJ was such a sport, and we are now to our Sweet 16 next weekend, or next week when we have PJ on, I should say. We'll try to narrow it down to our Final Four and maybe even crown a champion. I think we have a pretty good idea of which direction it may be going here.
I'm not discounting Hippolito Pichardo.
No, that's a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
All right, so in the last 24 hours, a couple of significant free agent signings, and the bigger one, I think, in terms of what it means to their franchise. Explain what the Giants are doing. Okay. How about desperate times call for desperate measures? Because Russ is likely the best the Giants can get going into this season. I would prefer Rodgers, but he must want more than the $10.5 million guarantee that the Giants are paying Russ, and for a GM and a head coach who will lose their jobs if they don't make the postseason. You're going with a quarterback who's going to make less money and drew less attention than the guy that you actually moved off of last year in Daniel Jones. Not too inspiring if you're a fan of the Giants. Also not inspiring, and notice this at ESPN Bet, The Giants' win total was set at a league low 3.5 yesterday. After signing Wilson, the Giants' win total overnight was 3.5.
Right. You brought up an interesting point to me earlier today. Well, after all this, why not just bring back Jones? It would have been cheaper. You would have drafted somebody else. I don't know. You get to year 7 in this league with a team, and yes, there were injuries. Yes, the roster wasn't there, but that fan base would not have accepted that.
Yeah, and they ran their course with Daniel Jones. There was clearly something not functioning between Daboll and Jones. They did what they had to do. I just thought it was interesting that this offseason, the quarterback that actually drew more attention wasn't Russell Wilson, the guy that's won Super Bowls. It was Daniel Jones, the guy that got cut by the team that drafted him last season.
Daniel Jones, his rookie season, threw 24 touchdown passes, and then he didn't even come close to that after that. 2022 threw 15. Last year, only 8.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how he is as part of that competition in Indianapolis against Anthony Richardson. And for the Giants, I don't think that this eliminates them from going after a quarterback in the draft. You're getting $10.5 million to Russ, guaranteed. Jameis gets $4 million fully guaranteed as his backup. The Giants could easily draft a quarterback early in the draft and then cut Wilson. They would get credit for whatever he makes elsewhere if he were to get signed, even if it's the league minimum of just over $1.25 million.
The show's better with your participation at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Tom in Rochester. What's up, Tom?
Hey, guys. Love the show. I was thinking about this thing with Rodgers, and, again, just as a casual sport, not casual, I love sports, but just thinking about it, it seems pretty clear the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have him there for 6 hours because they're not interested. Of course they're interested in him. But in the back of my mind, I don't know if anyone's talked about this. Do you think there's some hesitation, though, whether it be Rodgers himself, Rodgers the value, plus you're buying into this thing on the Pat McAfee show every week? That is so unique to a football player. Plenty of them have shows on radio and stuff, but that McAfee show is something different.
Has a reach.
And I'm not saying it's going to deter anyone, but it's got to factor into to what an organization thinks about having Rodgers as their QB.
Well, I don't know too many radio shows that pay somebody $1 million, but apparently that's the budget for Aaron Rodgers. And does that because he's buddies. He's actually getting paid. So that's a big negotiating point there. And, Tom, I want to throw this back, too. This has gone now in the pendulum of Rodgers. Has it not? The fact that, okay, Wilson's off the table. Do you want me? Well, I'm not going to settle. Here's my number.
Could very well be. He holds a lot of cards now with the free agent market as it is, almost gobbled up, plus the fact of apparent disinterest on the part of Minnesota, right? Added with, the QBs that are going to be drafted slotted in. It seems that Pittsburgh is in a real tough bind here with a kind of perhaps a win-now team. Again, I think there's a breaking point for both sides. I think Rodgers definitely wants to play. But it'll be interesting to see if Pittsburgh ultimately caves in, because I just don't see any other option but him for that team.
Well, okay, Tom, I'll say this, and thank you for the call. These are all great points, and I think we've discussed different variations of what Pittsburgh can do here, right? I think that Rodgers is waiting for his number. I think if you see Russ getting 10.5, then you know that Rodgers wants to make more than 10.5.
I thought the deal was 21, Danger. It's not 21 for Russell Wilson with the Giants?
Right.
Yeah.
1 year, 10.5 guaranteed. So whatever that number is for Rodgers, that's where I think the dilemma comes into play. Like, you might have some resistance from the Pittsburgh brass saying, hey, if you're here, you can't be on McAfee. That might be part of it, but that's $1 million a part of it versus the multi-million dollars difference that there could be between what Rodgers believes he's worth and what the Steelers believe he's worth and what they're willing to pay him.
I don't know. I look at what the Kelsey brothers have done. Rodgers is a smart guy. Couldn't he do this, or is he just too lazy? It's easy to collect the check from McAfee and show up once a week.
He doesn't have to really do any work. for that.
Right.
Right? I mean, like, the thing about the Kelsey brothers is I'm sure they have people around them helping them do the work, but it's still work. It's still preparation. It's still being on. I mean, Rodgers just shows up in his flip-flops and a baseball cap, and he can spew about whatever he wants to spew unprepared. I mean, I don't think – do you get the sense that anything that Rodgers does is prepared on that show? It just feels very off the cuff, which is part of the reason why there's an appeal to it.
He's doing it on Zoom, essentially.
Right.
It's not even in front of a real camera.
Right. So I think that even if there is an arrogance about the Steelers organization, that if Rodgers were to say no, the worst case scenario is they go into the season with Mason Rudolph and, I don't know, Jalen Milroe as their quarterbacks going into the season. That's the worst case scenario. And even that scenario, I think you could still get better quarterback play than what you got last year out of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, especially when you consider what Russell looked like down the stretch against tough opponents.
Pretty soon we're going to, once we get past the draft in particular, we're going to be all gaga over the NFL schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Giants are going to get some early season games.
The Giants have a tough schedule as well.
Right. I don't want to see him get blown out by Philadelphia on Sunday Night Football, and that can't be the case, or the opening game, right? But if you have these quarterbacks we like, and America does like Mr. Unlimited, we do like Jameis Winston. You get Shedeur Sanders, and if you can figure out a standalone day where his father could come in, the Giants, true or false, most interesting team in that division?
I'm going to say false, just because I want to see what Washington can do in year two. And I'm curious as to how Philly looks. I mean, they lost a lot of players, right? But they've still got a lot of talent. How do they look with some of, with a more depleted roster? Are they able to reload, retool?
It feels like the head coach and his quarterback don't have the best of relationships.
Yeah.
So that
here's the thing about the Giants that I do find intriguing. It's not whether or not they win. It's actually how much they lose. Because the last time they were successful, they had a Manning as their quarterback. And if they are very unsuccessful in 2025, they will be in the position to have a Manning as their quarterback. And I can't rule out that isn't a part of this from above. Beyond Shane, beyond Dayball, we know you're out after this year. The chances of us making the postseason with what we've assembled so far is slim. So if we're going to do that, don't bother drafting Shedeur. Let's wait. An unintentional tank. Speaking of which, today was the 10-year anniversary of the low point of the Sabres tank when they lost in overtime to Phoenix and secured the number one, secured the lottery pick, the worst record in the league. The tank for Jack and McDavid, the McEichel tank. The 10-year anniversary of that is today.
It is today.
Yeah, that's when we all knew. Okay, they're going to be the worst team in the league. They're going to have the opportunity for one of those.
You know how I say we mark time by sports? That one, nope. I just
one you don't want to remember.
Nope. Yeah. Don't
Things
care.
have not been the same since. But back to the Giants, there's a part of me that believes that might be part of what's going on here. What can we really win with a deadbeat coach, a walking dead GM, a journeyman backup, and a former Super Bowl champion who's...
I think you're giving the Giants too much credit there. Honestly, to me, it just feels like here's a head coach and a GM, and we have to win, and all of our options really aren't good, and no, we can't meet your price, Mr. Rodgers. This is the Buffalo Bills in terms of wide receiver 4 and 5 last year. Let's just throw a lot of S up against the wall. Okay, we have Tommy DeVito. All right, we'll bring in Jameis Winston, and $10.5 million guaranteed for a quarterback in the NFL is cheap.
Yep.
They got Russell Wilson on the cheap, and part of that danger, it's the wife, right? She's signing off on this. Wouldn't she like to live in the big city there?
We should rather live in New York City than Cleveland.
Right. No, I'm not being cheeky.
I get it. I get it. I think it is a part of it. You're right. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But we've said it all afternoon. I don't think that prevents them from going after a quarterback in the draft. I think it takes a little bit less pressure off of them from getting the guy that they actually really, really want. They can go get the guy that they really, really want if they have somebody in mind. I also saw this today, Gino. I don't know if this crossed your feed or not, but how about the nuts on Jim Nantz, who made it known?
Oh, we had that coming up in shots.
This is coming up in shots? The intention is to call his final Masters in 2036. That'll be his 51st year on the call. It'll be the 100th anniversary of the tournament. Nantz, nothing like calling out your retirement 11 years in advance. The old putting in your 11 years notice.
I've never heard of something like
this. It's amazing.
Never heard anything like this.
How big are your nuts when you're saying, I'm going to put in an 11-year notice?
Okay, let me just start with, I think, something that's obvious, and that is if you're watching, I'm just going to say video, television in general, what are you watching more of these days? Is it your Netflix and Hulu and everything else, or is it good old-fashioned network TV? And I'm bringing this up, like, what does the world look like 3, 4, 5 years from now? Much less 11. Does CBS get bought up by Netflix? I mean, Jim Nantz is saying this like this is his God-given right and his decision. You overweight, arrogant, pompous, holy cow. You fit in right with the Masters.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
That's something.
What? Entitled.
Yeah.
Piggy.
Let me tell you, friends.
I am here for another 11 years. Are you?
I would like to throw a stat back at Jim Nantz, who isn't calling college basketball this season for the first time in however many. Ratings are up. First time, best rating since 1993. I'm saying it's all because Ian Eagle is on the call and not Jim Nantz.
Hello, friends.
Oh,
we're here in Butler Cabin. And blah.
Yeah. I love this move. What a power move. What an ego on this guy to put in an 11-year notice. Can you imagine? Hey, I'm just letting you know, the finish line is in sight. 11 years from now, I'm going to be hanging it up, okay? So between now and then, just placate me and know that I'll do the job. But just for the next 11 years. And then you have plenty of time here to give me the proper send-off for all my years of service.
That's all this is, Danger. You know why? Like, well, that's kind of odd. Why did he pick 11 years from now? It's because it's the 100th anniversary of the Masters.
Yep.
So where normally, hey, it's 100 years, let's celebrate all the greats between Tiger and Arnold and everybody. No, let's celebrate me.
Yeah.
I'm walking off. I'm going to make this about me.
Yeah. You know who did it right? Who's classier than Jim Nantz? Who I think will go down as the best ever at the Masters as far as doing what we do, doing the broadcast? It's Vern.
Yeah.
Give it to Vern. Vern Lundquist just goes out with class. Doesn't put in an 11-year notice on the 100-year anniversary of the tournament. Get out of here.
You are a sportscaster. You are not the story.
That's right.
And and everybody is going to be, oh, what a great. No. Call it for what it is. This is such a lack of awareness. And you know what?
We need people to congratulate him on his future retirement starting this year. Okay. Hey, here you're walking away in 11 years,
also,
Jim.
You dumbass. Like, okay, let's play the role here. How much do you think Nantz makes?
Oh.
Just throw out a number.
I mean, millions, right?
Okay, so
let's say it's $2.5 million.
Okay, $2.5 million per year.
I think that's low, but let's.
Okay, Jim, here's your new contract for the Masters beginning in 2028. Well, this is $250 a day. Yeah, $250 a day. You in?
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. I do this for free.
I cannot sign this contract, but I'm giving you 11 years' notice that I'll be walking away. You'll have to find somebody else's voice to put you to sleep during the Masters.
That being said, they know how to get you when you hear the wealth music.
The celebration of wealth.
it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm ready for
the
that.
piped-in bird sound effects and the birds chirping, the quartz sand traps.
All the azaleas popping on 13.
Yeah,
ready.
The perfect timing. Yep. Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com. You heard her earlier today on One Bills Live. She's done the heavy lifting for us. I don't mind saying it. I can be lazy. And when it comes to tracking mock drafts, well, Maddie has done the hard work for us. She's checked out about 70 different mock drafts. She's put all the data together, and we've got a list of players and positions that might be of most interest to the Buffalo Bills based on what she's seen in these mock drafts. She will be good with her time to join us next on The Fan Rochester. You can join us anytime this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Into a game-winning day. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Well, those Bills-Patriots games next season got a little more interesting. Steph Diggs, wide receiver, signing 3 years, $69 million with the Patriots. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live talking about New England.
Yeah, I think they could be like an 8-9 team, maybe even a 9-8 team. And I don't think games against them are going to be easy. And to me, that's saying something because Mike Vrabel, I just think that guy's the best coach in the division this side of Sean McDermott in comparison to Glenn and Mike McDaniel.
Matty Collab from BuffaloBills.com joins us next. We'll talk some NFL draft. Major League Baseball opens up for real tomorrow as the Yankees take on the Brewers. That'll be at 3 o'clock. The Mets are out in Houston. The Rochester Americans begin their final 3-game in 3-day stretch. That begins this Friday when Bridgeport comes to town. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar where we have broken the draft seal, Matty Glab, who you heard earlier today at One Bills Live with Chris Brown, BuffaloBills.com, stopping by the Sports Bar. Now, we wanted to have Matty on because, Matty, frankly, you did the work that we're too lazy to do. We know you are on mock draft watch and that you've tracked dozens, literally dozens of mock drafts. So we wanted to pick your brain a little bit and find out what you've learned. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, happy to be on with you guys. You know, every morning I just comb through these mock drafts. I'm like, all right, who do the experts and analysts think that we're going to take at number 30? It's been fun to see that, and it's been fun to see how things changed a little bit following the first wave of free agency for Buffalo.
Well, Matty, is there one position you're seeing more than others when you're combing through all these mocks?
Yeah, right now the favorite is defensive line by far. I've tracked just over 70 at this point. It's going to be up in the hundreds soon enough, but at this point, 35 times defensive lineman has been mocked to Buffalo at number 30. Now, if you break that up between the edge rushers and the defensive tackles, there's quite a big difference there too. Only 8 times an edge rusher is being sent to Buffalo with that first-round pick that the Bills have. And for defensive tackle, it's been 27 times. That is the favorite position group right now. We're still seeing, even after Buffalo kind of addressed the defensive line room in free agency, we're still seeing Buffalo being mocked defensive tackles quite a bit. We know Larry Ogunjobi has that suspension at the beginning of the season, so maybe Buffalo decides to go defensive tackle early in the draft, specifically in that first round. But next to defensive line has been cornerback. 18 times a cornerback has been mocked to Buffalo at number 30. So a little bit of pick your poison here.
Yeah, Matty, I was going to say, I mean, you could look at what they did in free agency and say, all right, once you get through the suspensions, defensive line is pretty much set. I would prefer that they still take a big swing. But at corner, you have what appears to be a pretty glaring need unless there's a plan to bring back a veteran on a minimum deal like a Trey White or a Rasul Douglas. Talk a little bit about what you've learned from those 18 mock drafts that have the Bills selecting a corner at 30.
Yeah, well, the favorite name out of cornerbacks right now being mocked to Buffalo is the Kentucky cornerback, Maxwell Hairston. He's been mocked to Buffalo 6 different times. So he's up there with some other favorites, currently tied at second if you're looking at players who have been mocked to Buffalo the most. Other cornerbacks that I've been seeing sent to Buffalo in the first round, Jahdae Barron out of Texas. He's been a really fun character to watch with what he has put on tape during his time at Texas. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss is another name that I've seen. Azariah Thomas out of Florida State. So those are some of the names that were being seen mocked to Buffalo at number 30. But then when you get into thinking, okay, what cornerbacks are going to be available, then you start to think about what are the runs on these positions and when are they going to start? Because that's going to dictate how the entire board falls. Now, we don't know what Brandon Beane's board looks like right now, but if there's a run on defensive tackles early, then safeties and cornerbacks may get pushed into Buffalo's lap.
Yeah, Maddie, as far as Brandon Beane, one thing you could say for certain, he doesn't like to stay put in the first round. We see him moving up. We see him moving down. And one name that I see being selected in a lot of these mocks, I'm sure you do too, Kenneth Grant of Michigan. And that would be a great pick. In your opinion, do you think he'd actually be there at 30 and do these mocks? Do you see the Bills actually trading up to grab whether it's him or somebody else?
Yeah, I was wondering if he's going to be available. A lot of people are saying he won't be, but then I still keep seeing him getting mocked to Buffalo at number 30. And he didn't run the 40 at the Combine, so I wonder when he does it at the Pro Day, at Michigan's Pro Day, if that's going to have him fly up the board a little bit, because we do know he's got that size and speed, but he's been the favorite right now. He's been mocked to Buffalo 15 different times, and even in the last couple of days, I've seen multiple mock drafts with Kenneth Grant being tied to Buffalo with that 30th overall pick. I mean, this kid is 6'4", 331 pounds. He had 6.5 sacks in his career, 3 sacks last year, second team All Big Ten. He's got size that you don't think would pair with the speed that he has. He defies the odds with his size and quickness. He's got incredible physical traits, the build, the quick feet, the violent hands. His hit hurts. He's got a lot of power in the punch that he has. I think if he's available and the Bills are thinking we want to go defensive tackle here, why would you not pass up on a space eater and somebody who can be quick on his feet too? Because you think about what Buffalo already has, and really when Ed Oliver had a terrific season and seasons in the past has been when he has that space eater next to him. That's when Ed Oliver can go work, can go earn his money, is when he had Daquan Jones at his best, when he had Jordan Phillips at his best. Maybe they go and get a young guy who can kind of grow into something like that.
So, Maddie, let's talk about a couple of other defensive tackles, one that you mentioned kind of in passing there, and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, and also Derek Harmon, who I know is another name that you see kind of getting mocked to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Walter Nolan has been mocked to Buffalo 6 times, so he's right there with Maxwell Hairston, sitting at, second favorite. When you look at Kenneth Grant, obviously the most mocked player, but Walter Nolan is tied second with some other players. This is a defensive tackle coming out of Ole Miss who has that size too, like 6'4", 296 pounds, a consensus All-American last season, had 6.5 sacks in 2024, which was a career high for him. And what I notice on him is once he gets going, he has a motor that's really hard to stop. He's got a powerful body. I think you see that in his legs and his hands with how he can push and move people off their spots. He wins lots of one-on-one matchups. He has some really nice bend to him, too, to rip and get off those blocks. Played at Texas A&M for his first 2 seasons, but had a really productive last season at Ole Miss. Played in 35 games, so somebody who has played in a good amount of games here during his career. 11.5 sacks is what he has on his career as well. So I think another good option for the Bills. Walter Nolan is a name, though, in several of the last mock drafts that I've looked at. I see him up in the early 20s and the teens, which I'm a little surprised to see. But a lot of these latest mock drafts, and Pete Prisco is somebody who we had on One Bills Live today, he just released his first mock draft, and he has a lot of these defensive tackles going in the teens, including Walter Nolan. So who knows if he's going to be available for Buffalo at number 30, or like you said, maybe Brandon Beane doesn't want to sit and stick at that place. Maybe he wants to move up.
We're talking to Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com. You also hear Maddie from time to time on One Bills Live. Maddie, as far as the corner position, there's one prospect that I find interesting, Trey Amos from Ole Miss, where, I mean, this is the day and age where not only played for Ole Miss, but he played for Alabama. He played for LSU. Is that just kind of where we are here in the year 2025, or is that a little bit of a red flag when you have a player bouncing from team to team? What are your thoughts on Amos?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, if you would ask us this like a few years ago, is it is it a knock on a kid for going to several schools? I think we would say yes, but I think just the day and age that we're at right now, this is something that is to be expected because of the way the transfer portal works and because of how we've seen guys move and shift to different places because of the NIL money too. So I think it's something that we are frankly going to just have to get used to. There's nothing that's going to change it, at least I think in the foreseeable future we could see a lot of this. And then the question is, how do teams look at this? How do the Bills specifically look at it? Because there's positives and negatives. Positive is a player like Trey Amos learned in several different systems and had some success in those systems. So is he somebody who can learn on the fly and who can really kind of digest information quickly and would be able to possibly pick up a tough NFL defense like the Bills have? We hear so many of our rookies say it's a really hard defense to learn in your first year. And the second year is kind of when the light bulb comes on for you. But that first year is tough. Somebody who's had to learn a lot of systems, does the light bulb come on earlier for him? Or is it looked at as a negative thing? Like, you've bounced around. We don't have enough tape to see how you really developed in one system. We only see you scratching the surface in 3 different systems. So it's 2 different ways to look at it. And I'm sure different GMs and scouts have different opinions on on what they think about these guys who've played at several different schools. But if you're looking at Amos, he's 6'1", 195. Ran a 4.43. So when you see like 4.4, 4.3 attached to those corners or defensive backs, you're going to pay attention to them, because how many times have we heard Sean McDermott get asked the question, or Brandon Beane, do you guys need more speed on defense? If the answer to them is yes, then they're going to look at these faster corners and faster safeties. All-America second team honors last year, all SEC first team last year. He led his team with 3 interceptions, had his best season really in 2024. I think he's shown, I think the one nice thing about him is showing how you can go from a smaller school to the SEC and then make that type of splash. He's a physical cornerback who can win against wide receivers. I think he uses his size and strength to break up passes. And he's got a cat-like reflex, how he gets his hands on the balls and makes it look really easy. His quickness also shows up on tape too, I think.
We're talking Bills draft prospects with Matty Glab, One Bills Live, BuffaloBills.com, who's done the work for us, looked at all these mock drafts and looking for consistencies as far as who the experts have the Bills taking at pick 30 and beyond. And you mentioned speed. We were talking earlier this week during Texas's Pro Day. I believe Isaiah Bond ran a sub 4.4 40. We also mentioned Golden as somebody that could be mocked to the Buffalo Bills. Then you could see the Bills going with, in terms of finding that wide receiver one, that dynamic, speedy downfield guy. But we also hear the Bills say things like, well, the game isn't played on a track, and we want football players first and foremost. Do any of these guys fit that bill? Are we looking at the Texas guys, or is a guy like Ibuka from Ohio State somebody that might be there to the Bills if they're sitting at 30, Maddie? What do you think they do at wide receiver?
We've seen Emeka Ibuka mocked to the Bills a few times, which I'm a little bit surprised to see. I don't think he's going to be there for Buffalo at number 30. I would be surprised if something like that happens. We've seen wide receivers just in general be tied to Buffalo with that number 30 pick 9 times, which ties with safety. So that ranks 3rd in favorite positions being mocked to Buffalo. I would be surprised if we took a wide receiver, but crazier things have happened. If there's a run on defensive tackles early and a run on cornerbacks and safeties, and not saying that I know we're going to go after a defensive tackle, cornerback, or safety. I have no idea what their board looks like. So maybe wide receivers are very high up on that board for them, and maybe they would want to target a guy like Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State or one of the Texas wide receivers. Matthew Golden has been mocked to Buffalo quite a few times, sitting around, I think, 5 times, I want to say. Definitely the favorite wide receiver being tied to Buffalo. And he's somebody, I think, who's put some really good tape together. He's a big play receiver. He's got great body control. He can withstand pressure at the catch point. Like, watching tape of him, I kind of got a Khalil Shakir vibe. I know Khalil Shakir really works those underneath routes and some of the shorter routes, but Golden is 5'11", 191. He ran a 4.29. You see that speed on tape. He's a versatile receiver. He can make the big game-changing plays, but he can also be there for those short and intermediate routes. I think he plays the position with a lot of fluidity. He kind of floats through those routes with his quick feet. He can adjust on the fly. I think he has really elite awareness of space when he's on the field. He finds a way to get those yak yards. And as I'm saying all this, that's kind of how I view Khalil Shakir and what he does. I think Golden does have more of those sideline big play catches than Shakir does. So there's a difference in that. But I mean, Golden is a talented receiver, but how does he fit in Buffalo's offense with the wide receivers that they already have? That's one question. He does have that kick return ability too, had 2 kick return touchdowns in his career. So, you know, that's an addition there, but we also just added Laviska Shenault, who has some return ability.
Maddie, like so many fans, like they have their guy, quote unquote, for various reasons. And this sounds kind of silly, but in our house, our guy is actually Nick Eamon-Wari, because for some reason my son became a South Carolina fan and he's talking him up. And now I feel like I'm fully invested in where this guy will end up. And my question isn't just exactly about Eamon-Wari or maybe Malachi Starks or any of these other safety products that may end up in the first round, but what do you think of the Bills' safety position overall in the Sean McDermott defense? Because if you draft one of these guys, is the expectation maybe they don't step in right away? Because I viewed Cole Bishop last year. Maybe this is the year we see the full Cole Bishop experience for Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think if they draft a safety, it's going to be so interesting. I think it already is going to be so interesting to watch the safety battle here throughout workouts and phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, training camp. I mean, you've got, yes, there's 2 spots at safety, but you've got multiple players now fighting for a spot at safety with Taylor Rapp, with DeMar Hamlin, with Cole Bishop. You add another guy that you draft, let's say in the first round, to compete with those. What is that going to look like? And I know one thing that we go back to, at least Chris Brown and I did today with the safety position, is they want somebody, you would want somebody, generally speaking, regardless of what team you're on, is to be healthy throughout the entire season. We've seen Taylor Rapp kind of go in and out of the lineup at times because he plays the position with so much physicality. So would it be good to add another safety to the mix? I think Cole Bishop is going to get his shot this year to be able to compete for a starting spot, but adding another safety to the mix would be really interesting. But you mentioned a guy like Nick Eamon-Wari, and I think what he does is he offers you versatility. He can be a safety on the field when you're using packages that include 3 safeties. He can kind of be that big nickel type of player. Now, he said that he believes he's at best at playing as a true safety, but I think he offers you the ability to do some different things. And you add a player like Michael Hoyt, who can kind of do that too, not at the safety position, at defensive line, with how he can move all over and kind of drop into coverage. Or if the Bills decide to target a Nick Eamon-Wari, then the question is, are you kind of shifting what you're trying to do on defense here with some Swiss Army knives that you can move all over the place? But I love Eamon-Wari's film. I think he's a hard hitter. I think his length and speed, the rare blend of size and speed that he has and he knows how to use, I think is something that you can't find everywhere.
Maddie, I know that on the surface it appears that the Bills are set at running back. James Cook is under contract, although he's working to renegotiate for an extension. You brought back Ty Johnson. You drafted Ray Davis last year, but we've heard that this running back class is historically deep. Is there wisdom for the Buffalo Bills in selecting a running back later on in this draft?
Man, Brownie and Steve Tasker and I will go back and forth about all of this because Tasker's of the opinion, like, we can find a running back somewhere else. James Cook has been great to this offense, but do we need him at the price tag going forward? He thinks we can find that elsewhere. But Chris Brown and I are kind of like, James Cook has meant so much to this offense. I don't think they're going to pivot from the everybody eats mantra anytime soon. And so with that, I think you need kind of a home run hitter at running back. And Ray Davis can definitely step into that spot. Is he ready to do it this year or next? I don't know. I don't think so this year. I think he needs another year under his belt in this offense. But then you talk about this running back class, and it's one of the best in a long time, and it's not just the best in rounds 1 and 2. It's literally the best throughout all 3 days. And you kind of think to yourself, the Bills have a lot of picks. They've got a lot of fifth-round picks. Is it worth just taking a running back to see what happens there? Is it bad to just why not? If you find somebody that has some great traits in the run game and can be used as a pass catcher, if I'm sitting there and I feel like we've addressed other position needs, why not go after a running back if this is a special class? I would do it, but I'm also thinking I want James Cook here for the long term. I think he deserves something like that because of how special he's been to this offense the past 2 years.
Maddie, it feels like this is one of those interviews I'm going to have to actually go back and listen to again at some point, just so so much coming at us here as we're all getting up to speed on the NFL draft. Last one for me, Maddie, and that is, hey, we're going to see you again this summer here. It's great to have the Bills back at Fisher coming up in late July.
Yeah, so we can't wait. I cannot imagine training camp anywhere else. If it was somewhere else, I would be very upset about it. I think so many people inside this building, both on and off the team, have just taken such a liking to going to Rochester for the month. I know Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane preach that it really helps develop the team in terms of chemistry and getting to know each other. And I think that's so true. I mean, look at last year's team. This was a team with so many new faces. I mean, Josh Allen's only wide receiver that had caught a pass and last season was Will Shakir. The whole room was new, and look at what they did this past season, a really successful season. And I think you put part of that success is because they have time together in training camp to build those bonds and to get to know each other both on and off the field. So I'm really looking forward to it. I love going to St. John Fisher.
It's for dairy milkshakes for everybody, Maddie. What's your flavor of choice?
Yes. Ooh, I think they have, what is it, Cookie Monster, I think is one of my favorites or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love those flavors. I like to try a different one every time I'm there because there's so many.
You've given us a lot of information to digest. If you're listening to the show and you wanted to read up on what you've got working here, I'm guessing BuffaloBills.com. We can find some of this work here. Your mock draft primer.
Yes, you bet. BuffaloBills.com mock draft watch 5.0, I believe it is. We're doing 10 ahead of the NFL draft. I believe our 5th one is coming out Friday morning, where you can kind of look back on the last week and see what mock drafts have been released and where those people think that the Bills should go with position groups, with players, whatnot.
Have you come across any of them where you look at it and you say, no, the Bills aren't doing that? They're not taking a running back at 30. Have you seen the silly mock yet?
No running backs. No offensive linemen. Not one offensive lineman has been mocked to Buffalo. I haven't seen one. Okay, the one that I saw that happened this week, and I'm not going to say a name, but a linebacker was mocked to the Bills. And I can understand with the thought of, okay, Matt Milano is getting older in his NFL years. He's had injuries. Maybe you want to address this position group. I can understand that later on in the draft, but maybe not at 30 with the need for a defensive tackle, a safety, a cornerback. I think those position groups at this point make a little bit more sense than a linebacker at 30. But there haven't been any off-the-wall ones where I'm just like, what? Do you know the team that you just mocked this player to?
Matt, are you on tomorrow with Brownie as well?
Yep, I'm on tomorrow from 1 to 3 with Brownie. We're going to dive into this a little bit more, too, tomorrow on One Bills Live.
Well, appreciate you giving us a little bit of a preview here this afternoon in the Sports Bar. We'll look forward to seeing you later on in the summer, and keep up the great work, Maddie. Appreciate the time.
Yes. Love it. Thanks, guys.
You got it. There's Maddie Glab. You can get her mock draft watch at buffalobills.com and listen for her again tomorrow here on the Fan Rochester with Chris Brown and One Bills Live.
I'm feeling like it's corner, right? Based on need. This is like the year they drafted Kyrie Elam.
Based on need, yes, but based on draft board, what happens? If you see some teams going wide receiver, if you see some teams leaving some defensive tackles on the board.
This feels like a year where Brandon Beane doesn't have to move up. This never happens, which is fine. Go get your guy. You're a team that's ready to compete for a championship.
Well, if you have your guy, if you're smitten, go get your guy. I've always been a proponent of just get your guy. And when you don't, you see what happens. I mean, you end up with a Kyrie Elam who's second fiddle to what you really wanted in Trent McDuffie. You don't want that to happen again. Go get your guy.
No, go get your guy. In particular, you have, what did you say, 21 picks over the next 2 years?
Yes.
21 players are not making this Buffalo Bills roster, those 21 picks. Just
Correct.
Use the capital.
Correct. Really appreciate Maddie breaking that down for us. Good information there as we get ready for the NFL draft now less than 1 month away. Happy hour next on the Fan Rochester. A couple of free agent moves that have happened in the last 24 hours that we will get you caught up on. We'll get to a round of shots and last call at 866-4FAN. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4326.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
The Bills-Patriots game's got a little spicier for this coming season. Stephon Diggs, now a member of the Patriots, to the tune of 3 years, $69 million. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live believes the Patriots have a coach who can help make it work.
I don't think there's any question about this. Mike Vrabel is the most formidable coaching foe in the division for Sean McDermott right now, today. I think he's better than Mike McDaniel, better leader of men, and I think he's better than Aaron Glenn, who is completely unproven as a head coach.
Not only do you have the NCAA Sweet 16 tomorrow, Major League Baseball's opening day begins 3 p.m. in the Bronx. It's the Yankees and the Brewers. The Tigers open up in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Amerks begin their final 3-game and 3-day stretch this coming Friday when Bridgeport comes to town. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Russell Wilson has a new home. The Giants and Russ have come to terms on a one-year deal.
It's Mr. Unlimited.
And the Giants.
Entertainment value. This is the year for the Giants to be on Hard Knocks, not last year.
Amazing. Stephon Diggs back in the AFC East, getting a 3-year deal with the Patriots.
Today's 29 Eric Dickerson days from the draft.
I'm not as sold on the Parsons idea.
Mike Danger.
I got 2 cover models in my house, and then there's me. You know, put me on a cover of Dad Bod magazine, something that makes me feel somewhat adequate moving back into my house.
Gene Battaglia.
Jerry Jones is calling you Bill season ticket holder.
Richard Pitino, though, joining his dad in the Big East.
Lindy Ruff being honored his 600th regular season win as a Sabre head coach.
Alex Ovechkin, 889.
Baseball tomorrow for opening day.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. My friend Greg reached out to me. It was yesterday at this time I was telling you I was feeling a little inadequate. That both my wife and my daughter are being featured on covers of magazines. Rochester Women Magazine for my wife, Women Entrepreneur Magazine for my daughter, and going home after a long day of work here at Odyssey, I just feel a little inadequate. I don't have a cover. My friend Greg was very kind to put his Photoshop skills to use and put me on the cover with my family of Can't Believe I'm Still in Radio magazine. So I appreciate that, Greg. I do count my blessings every day that I get to still come here and do this every day with you, Gino.
Oh, that's good. Greg, that jokester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Shecky over there. Yeah. He's just one thing after. Take my wife, please. We welcome you to Happy Hour, and we appreciate you listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, The Fan Rochester, our YouTube channel where you can watch the stream, go back and watch or listen to any part of the show you want to in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Great show so far with PJ Glasser stopping by in the 3 o'clock hour. Maddie Glab with her mock draft review joining us last hour and breaking it all down. And here we are, Happy Hour, to kind of react to all of it.
Well, can we start with Diggs?
Yeah.
Because honestly, as far as villains in sport today in Western New York, Jack Eichel, okay, the unfulfilled promise, but are you really upset at Eichel, or are you really upset at the whole premise?
Can I just say this about Eichel? I just never liked the guy. I know he was a good player. I know when he was in Buffalo, he did a lot of good things in the community, but I never got the sense that he really was a good guy or that he fully embraced being here. I don't think he fully embraced the gravity of his role.
He shouldn't have been captain. It was a little. He wasn't mature enough.
Right, and so I just never got the sense. He to me was hockey's version of Jay Cutler. It's like, yeah, I know I'm good, but I don't really need to develop relationships with my teammates, and I don't need to be this leader that you think I should be. I just need to show up and do my job every day, which is what I'll do.
Well, I'm bringing up Eichel for this reason. This analogy is that when he's back, okay, we're going to boom every time you touch the puck, or some national people wave their finger. I'm like, no, that's fine. Do that. Is that going to be the same response for Diggs? How is Diggs going to be received?
It will be. I don't like it, but it will be. Me personally, and I think we were talking with Fates about this. Was it specifically about Diggs, or maybe it was somebody else? I know it was like me rationally, I think to myself, Steph Diggs should go down as one of the best wide receivers in Buffalo Bills history for what he did, the numbers he put up, how the Bills kind of came into this, this expectation now of being a contender every year. He was a big part of that. The growth of Josh Allen. Certainly Diggs had a piece in that growth. I know that a lot of people didn't like the antics. I know that a lot of people didn't like how it ended. That's fine, but I'm going to continue to view Diggs as a really, really good football player who, if he has a fault, he's competitive above everything, including what's best for the team.
You have a foil now in the division. You have somebody who is going to go to New England and say, guys, we're good enough to bring that team down and let me help you.
Yeah.
That's the one thing New England on offense has been flat. I'm not saying that we're going to see, 2020 Steph Diggs all of a sudden running routes for New England, but I would say this. If he's healthy week 1, he's better than anything else that they had last year.
For sure. And I think when you look at what he got, a nice contract at 3 years, $69 million. I'm sorry. I'm always going to take that joke if it's there. $26 million guaranteed, coming off of an ACL on the wrong side of 30. All I think to myself is this was a move New England had to make. You have a fan base that heard you say, we want weapons for Drake May. We're going to give him weapons. Okay, this is as good as it's going to get. What does he have left is my question. What does he do? How does he look coming off of that ACL? Because his ability to separate, his ability to cut, his ability to run those routes with the precision that he did when we saw him in Buffalo, I think may be compromised by the fact that he's still recovering from an ACL.
Well, and also, too, can the Bills actually lock up Diggs? Diggs was kind of a non-factor in the Houston game. We kind of agree on that. There were some other flaws for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills should have won that Houston game, not to revisit that whole storyline. But it's a Patriot team that danger the divisional opponent. The Bills have split, with the exception of 2022.
Yeah.
They've split with these jokers every year.
I would say that if you're going to try to predict the schedule, knowing that you have them twice, that you could say right now, the Bills will probably split with them again. I wouldn't say that that's a stretch.
You would put probably this again as the last game of the year, knowing, all right, if the Bills are going to get challenged, this is the team to challenge them.
Sure. Yeah, you could see a Bills-Patriots Week 18 matchup, and in that matchup, maybe there is some playoff ramifications up for grabs, or maybe the Bills are resting players again like they were this year when they lost to them, and there's a little bit of an asterisk there because really,
it doesn't matter, right?
That loss, by the way, vaults New England out of the number 1 overall.
That's really a win because
it's crazy.
Can you imagine if New England, hey, we don't need a quarterback. We're going to stick here and we're going to take Travis Hunter. Well, guess what you can't do now? You can't pick Travis Hunter at 4. I'm sorry. Like what Mr. Mayo did last year. If that's true that he went off script.
Travis Hunter could fall to 4.
He could. The point being, though, if your owner or whatever, hey, don't really win this game, and then he'll never get another job in this league as a head coach.
Number 1 seed. We need the number 1 pick. We need the number 1 pick. Whatever you do, don't beat the Bills. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Kraft. You pay me, Mr. Mayo, to win football games. So we're going to win a football game. And they did. And they lost the first overall pick in the process. But Diggs to New England feels like a move they had to make, just at minimum to say, see, we got the kid a weapon, and maybe he can do for Drake May what he helped do for Josh Allen, even at an advanced stage of his career, even coming off of an ACL. 3 years, $69 million, 26 guaranteed. Small price to pay when you consider how much cap space they have.
The history of this league, too, is totally crossed with, hey, player A has a good year, and for whatever reason, I'm going to go over to the divisional opponent. You see it right now with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Like, why is Patrick Queen on the Steelers? That doesn't feel quite right. For years, it was the Patriots and the Jets. Like Curtis Martin, a Hall of Famer, flipped teams midway through.
Yeah.
Ty Law, like Darrelle Revis. Now you're going to have, as the Bills can't keep everybody. I'm not worried at all. I'll just say that right now.
Diggs and Hollins, man, you've got 2 former Bills wide receivers there in New England now that are going to be catching balls from Drake May. So, what does he look like? That's more than anything I want to know. What does he look like coming off of the ACL? Because when healthy, and he was productive last year in Houston before the ACL injury. He was putting up decent numbers. When healthy, I still think he's one of the best in the league. I don't know how healthy he is coming off that ACL, if he has the same ability to separate and do what he did with his precise route running that we saw him do while he was in Buffalo.
If anything, Danger, it gets everybody in that Bills organization to sit up straight. You are not entitled just by showing up to win the division. I think they know this, but if you get New England on the schedule week 1 or week 2 or whenever that is, New England could be 2-5. You're not looking past them now because of this guy.
The other free agent signing that happened as we were getting off the air last night here in the sports bar, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Giants country, let's cry.
Mr. Unlimited.
Giants country, let's cry. Let's cry. Cry. Let's cry.
Let's
Giants cry.
Broncos.
Let's ride.
Giants country.
Perfect.
Let's cry.
One more time. Broncos country.
Let's cry.
ride.
Giants country.
Broncos country.
Let's
Let's
cry.
ride.
Perfect.
Broncos country.
Let's cry.
Let's ride.
I don't know, $10.5 million guaranteed, a 1-year deal. This doesn't feel like the move that, just like Jameis didn't feel like the move that would prevent them from going after Rodgers or Wilson, this doesn't feel like a move that prevents them from going after Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders if they really want to.
Shedeur Sanders should be the third pick to the Giants. If they think he's going to be the quarterback, you don't hesitate. You take him. These guys are just stopgap. It is surprising, though, because you normally don't sign 2 bridge quarterbacks. Is this just the ultimate smokescreen, Danger? Like, yeah, we're not going to take a quarterback at 3. Look at us. We're all set. We're all in on Abdul Carter. Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe, yeah.
Right. By the way, the Browns today holding a private workout with Cam Ward. So Ward get the workout with the Titans. Now the Browns sitting at 2 get their workout with Cam Ward. We'll see if Cam Ward is even there at pick 1 or pick 2. If you ask Cam Ward, he's the number 1 overall pick. I'm sorry. I don't know that Cam Ward is a number 1 overall pick.
For that matter, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a number 3 overall pick.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we have some very quarterback-needy teams desperate for a franchise guy that might reach and take a guy that might not be able to do that, given that this year's class is a little bit down. And we'll talk more NFL draft through the course of the season. Maddie was great in narrowing it down and distilling it down for the Buffalo Bills and what she's seen from some of these mock drafts. But when we talk to the experts, the guys that come up with these mock drafts to get their take on the quarterback class, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, where exactly they fall on their board.
Or could this be the plan too, Danger? And this was, Warren Sharp and others have said this. What if you had Travis Hunter and with Big Blue, and then you're going to trade back into the first round, and you'll take a Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe or somebody like that, and when they're ready, okay, Russ, step aside.
Right. If you have Malik Neighbors and Travis Hunter, I think you would like that regardless who your quarterback is. Russ, can you get those guys deep? I mean, I guess if you saw anything out of Russ in Pittsburgh last year, he still has the teardrop, right? Or the moonshot.
Right.
The moonshot is still there. And with a guy like Neighbors, yeah, you could probably see Wilson connecting with Neighbors or whoever can throw that deep ball. Jackson Dart can throw a deep ball, by the way. So yeah, that would be interesting to see. So there you have the Wilson signing. I think you and I are in agreement that it doesn't prevent them from drafting a quarterback. And I just think if you're a Giants fan right now, this has just been so uninspiring. Just really, really kind of like hard to pick yourself up after the offseason last year, everything that happened, how last season went, and going into this season knowing you've got a head coach and a GM who are going into the season on the hot seat.
Normally you don't get a team that finished with the 3rd worst record, as this is a team you want to see in prime time. But tell me, you wouldn't want to see like an early Monday night or Thursday night matchup with Russell Wilson going to Las Vegas to face Pete Carroll?
Sure.
Yeah.
The NFL owners meeting is getting underway this weekend. We'll be talking about some of these proposed rule changes. The competition committee has been busy. One thing that we learned is that the proposed kickoff rule, which was a 1-year trial balloon, last year was supposedly a 1-year trial. If they decide they want to keep that, one of the proposed rules they would add to it is moving the touchback to the 35 instead of the 30-yard line to make you eat an extra 5 yards for a touchback to encourage more returns unless you are comfortable giving up those 5 extra yards. Most teams aren't.
Right. So that seems like that's the happy medium, right? They're still trying to figure out, all right, onside kicks because the element of surprise is totally gone. But I always thought it's silly. Like, no, you can't try this until the fourth quarter. Well, that's also part of this, too, that actually you can try it anytime, but you will know what's coming.
You'd still have to say, okay, we're going to onside kick it here to start the second half because we're trailing and we want to steal a possession. It probably doesn't work in your favor, knowing that the element of surprise is no longer there. But, yeah, you would be able to do an onside kick at any time of the game if you're trailing, not just in the fourth quarter.
The one that I think we're all kind of in favor of, unless you are one of these officials that believe that officials should be doing the job on the field and you limit replay, expanding replay powers. If there's something that they deem clear and obvious, and the one that I can think of last year, hey, here's Sam Darnold getting yanked down by his face mask,
yeah.
and there's no call on that. Now, according to this proposal, hey, we're going to make sure it gets right if it's absolutely clear upstairs.
That's right, and I'm all for that. The way that replay assist has kind of worked up to this point, it's been seamless. It hasn't been a delay.
Been quick.
It's been quick. It's been seamless. Get the call right. Don't have the controversy the next day of, I know it's good for us because we love to bitch about the referees and they blow a call and it gets us talking about the games, but, man, get it right.
Well, can we credit the NFL? Because I'm watching basketball. Like, how many delays? Okay, put 22.3 seconds left on the clock.
For as great as March Madness is, these reviews, these official reviews in college basketball, they're brutal. They are brutal. It is just lengthy and pointless. And let's speed it up here, boys. Let's go. But replay assist in the NFL, they got that right. And if they're going to do more of it to get it right more often, I'm all for it. I don't know how that doesn't pass. But there are a few things that I know are going to be proposed that might struggle with getting past the tush-push being banned, being one of those things. You have to get over 24 votes in order for a proposal to become a rule, and the tush-push being proposed by the Packers, who I think are very upset because Philadelphia was very mean to them, and they were very upset that they kept running this play, and it pushed them down the stairs, and their shoes fell off. Their glasses broke. They fell on their ass pipe. And they're suing everybody, making this proposal.
Suing Nick Sirianni.
They're going to sue Nick Sirianni.
Jalen Hurts.
Big Dom. I'm suing Roger Goodell. I'm suing Bill Belichick. I'm suing Jim Nantz. I'm suing everybody for punitive damages.
Donovan McNabb, I'm suing
Donovan McNabb for punitive damages because they call the tush-push too often. And I'm at LaFleur, and I don't like that they were mean to me. I want what I deserve. We want to ban the tush-push. I'm suing for punitive damages. I got to work on it, man. There's something missing. But, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. We'll play along. Those are all some of the rules that'll be brought up and proposed during the owners' meeting. Again, 24 votes to pass, and by early next week, we'll probably have a couple of these rule changes to discuss.
So Sunday, that's when the NFL owners' meetings begin, and then Monday is the cocktail party.
Yes.
Matt Perino, the cocktail party.
Just rubbing elbows with the NFL's elite.
I think it's funny, like, who would be, if you have to nominate, who would be the one head coach that would be having drinks with? Dable. Yeah, Dable's a guy's guy.
Dave feels like the guy that would do it, for sure. Yeah. Let me just ride up to the bar here. Hold court, and throw them back. What a great experience for the guys covering the Buffalo Bills, people that'll be there and checking that all out. And for guys like Perino, it's a good opportunity to get them in a little bit more of an intimate one-on-one setting versus the larger crowds that you have to deal with at, say, the NFL Scouting Combine. Let's get to a round of shots next. Gino, I know we touched on the Jim Nantz 11-year notice of walking away from his job, and I fear we may have rubbed some people the wrong way.
Yeah, I took a call offline. We got to get to that story.
We'll get to that.
We've got some other things happening too, including baseball. Why it's going to be kind of like, remember Throwback Thursday? It's going to be Throwback Thursday, and we'll explain why tomorrow around this time.
Okay. God, yeah. Baseball games that matter starting tomorrow, opening day. Love hearing that. Round of shots coming up. Don't forget about last call. You can pull up a stool and have the final word in the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
when you wake up through the Odyssey app and make your mornings as thrilling as a game-winning touchdown. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Those Bills-Patriots games next season got a little more interesting. Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, now a member of New England, signing 3 years, $69 million. Chris Brown believes the Patriots are going to be improved.
Yeah, I think they could be like an 8-9 team, maybe even a 9-8 team. And I don't think games against them are going to be easy. And to me, that's saying something because Mike Vrabel, I just think that guy's the best coach in the division this side of Sean McDermott in comparison to Glenn and Mike McDaniel.
Busy weekend at the Blue Cross Arena. First for the Amherst. They begin their final 3-game and 3-day stretch. Friday at home against Bridgeport. Saturday at Syracuse. Sunday they're back home against the Crunch. The Rochester Nighthawks back home Saturday night. First ever visit for San Diego. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today you can save half off to Eagle Vale. Gene Battaglia, sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
All right, let's clean up around here. Some stories that we haven't yet gotten to in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. We appreciate you stopping by for a round of shots.
So the Big East is now a 2-Patino league. That could have been a PJ Glasser name there.
He got eliminated. You know, if he was still alive, he'd be more top of mind. But, I guess today, knowing that you got 2 Patinos in the Big East.
Richard Pitino leaves New Mexico to become the head coach at Xavier. Now, compare this to the NFL, where they have their process and all their businesses that have to hire. After Sean Miller leaves for Texas, Xavier filled the position in, 48 hours?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they don't move. Very slowly. We resume the tournament tomorrow night with the Sweet 16, Alabama and BYU, Maryland against Florida. You've got Duke, Arizona, and Arkansas taking on Texas Tech. Those are the 4 matchups tomorrow night.
I mean, this is great. These are 4 unbelievable matchups. Like, I wish I could watch them all simultaneously. I know some people probably will watch them all simultaneously, but find me a bad matchup here. These are great.
Well, again, like, compare it to baseball, Danger, where today should have been opening day or opening night, and you're going to have the Dodgers and Tigers scooball against that lineup. That's interesting, but that's all you got tomorrow night. You could have owned the stage tonight if you're Major League Baseball. Before we get to baseball notes here, we've crossed 1,000. 1,000 players, as of now, have jumped into the NCAA Division I men's portal in basketball. Danger, that's an average of 3 per team.
Well, I'd be a hypocrite if I said I didn't like it because I just said how great I think these matchups are, and these matchups are partially good because you got great players on every team that's left. And I know it's changing. I know it's ever-changing, and it's if you're a traditionalist, this is not the way it's supposed to go. If you're a fan of having your players on your program for 4 years and it hasn't been that way for a while.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. And one thing we have to acknowledge, if some of these kids are self-aware, meaning you're not going to play in the NBA. Okay, you're here for a degree. You can earn the degree anywhere. Like the fact that Joe Girard, Mr. New York State basketball player of the year, one of the best all time, left Syracuse to go to Virginia. Why? Are you angry at him? Did you fault him at the time? That was just a sign of what was to come. I don't know if you've seen this graphic going around. I've seen it on my feed. Somebody took the Sweet 16 teams. Here's the starting 5. And they just simply put the logos of the starting 5. Not the players. Just guess the team that it actually is. The logos of where each player played his freshman year.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. So of these 16 teams, of the starting 5, there's only 1 where actually all starting 5 players came in as freshmen and they're starting here. That's Purdue.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not Duke, not Arizona, you're buying players from everyone.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, you mentioned self-awareness and knowing that a lot of these guys aren't going to play in the NBA, but while they're in college basketball, they can still cash a check. So they're going to go to the school that allows them to hammer the biggest check, right? And I don't see it changing. I kind of like what we have here with these matchups this weekend, both tomorrow night and Friday night. But the portal, the timing of the portal, I can get behind. Like, why are we doing this now. There's still guys playing. Like you have coaches changing programs, and it feels like everything is up in the air when there's still basketball happening.
It's unseemly. I just think there's a stink to this. Like you can't put a pin in this until after the tournament. Like the idea that, okay, Xavier, you beat the Texas and Xavier, who coincidentally played one another.
Yes.
We're moving this quick?
Yeah, I would like for all of that to move till after the tournament. And I know that even in doing that, we'll still be talking about how the transfer portal is bad for the game and how, it just comes down to a school's collective and their ability to pay these players. But let's focus on the games. I mean, like, these games are really going to be great. I have high expectations for the Sweet 16.
I play you this clip, but it's too long. Tom Izzo was asked, how difficult is this to manage a program where you had the portal going on while you're playing? Okay, Izzo, as you would expect, 7 years old, he flips out in the report. Like, how dare you basically ask me this question where we're getting ready for a game, we've got to get... And then... he actually gives a thought-out answer. And it's like, it's not good for anybody.
Well, I imagine if you reflect on it, if you're Tom Izzo, if you're anybody that's been doing this a long time and you've been through a lot of changes, you have to view this as, some of your better accomplishments. Like, yeah, it is challenging. And, yeah, I am proud of us being here given those challenges. What's the saying that smooth waters don't equal good sailors, something like that? I mean, like, you need some adversity if you want to really be the best of the best. Izzo's elite. He's stuck around. Patino's great. He's stuck around. He's fought through these adversities, and he's gotten his team to places that we didn't think they could get to. So I'll give those guys a lot of credit, and I'm sure, while he probably doesn't like answering questions about the portal, it's just the reality of the world that he lives in now. He probably inside feels a lot of pride in that he's gotten this team to the Sweet 16, given all of the adversities of putting together a team and getting them to work together and build that chemistry.
If you're going to open the Major League Baseball season in the month of March, this is what you're going to get, which is temperatures that are not ideal. It doesn't begin at noon or 1 tomorrow. It begins at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Yankees and Brewers, this interleague matchup in the Bronx. The game is going to be on ESPN. What's noteworthy about that, Joe Buck will be on the call tomorrow, returning to call baseball for the first time since he left Fox.
Oh, that's right. He left Fox for ESPN. He was only doing Monday night games with Aikman and playoff games with Aikman, and now he's going to do a ball game. I think Buck, for my money, is still the best play-by-play guy going right now.
Buck was somebody I couldn't stand based on how he called the Tyree catch, and I've come totally around on him.
Yeah.
I think he and Aikman are fun.
I think there's a bigness to their call in the NFL, and I think in baseball he does a great job calling baseball. He's just a well-rounded guy that can call a game as good, if not better, than anybody else. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock, we've got that action. Nothing tonight. You mentioned that's a missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. Baseball kind of dropping the ball again. And we've made our predictions. You have the Dodgers beating the Red Sox in the World Series, and I have the Dodgers winning 157 games this season. I don't like that the Red Wings are in town and it was snowing this afternoon. I don't like that there was snow on the field as the players were on the field warming up.
Red Wings open the season Friday in Buffalo.
Is the weather that we're getting today heading towards New York? It has to be, right?
Yeah,
like
everything,
they're going to get flurries tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and I imagine that'll probably be delayed.
Yeah, that would be not ideal. Is New York right now. Tomorrow, 52 and sun.
Okay.
That'll feel pretty good.
All right.
Would we feel any better about the Sabres if they didn't finish in dead last of the Eastern Conference? After winning their last two, Buffalo is now only a point behind Philadelphia from climbing out of the basement of the conference. 3-2 the final over Ottawa. Head coach Lindy Ruff has now won 600 games as a Sabre head coach. Only Al Arbor of the Islanders has more with a single franchise. Pittsburgh comes to town tomorrow night.
Oh, who cares?
Moving on. Buffalo plays at Washington Sunday, Danger. Now, what if Alex Ovechkin gets a few more before then and he breaks the record against Buffalo with a hat trick?
No. What I want to see happen is, how many does he need?
He needs six. 6 goals.
I want him to score 6 against Buffalo. I want greatness, boys. I want you to be greatness. Be known for something. Give up 6 to Ovechkin when you play him on Sunday. and be known for something.
Ovechkin beat what many consider to be the best goaltender, Connor Hellebuyck, but Jets win 4-3 in overtime. Right now, the tally is this: 6 goals to go, 11 games remaining to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time mark here in the regular season. There's only one game, though, before the Sabre game on Sunday. That's at Minnesota for Washington coming up Thursday.
Okay, so I'll even go as far as to say he can score against Minnesota on Thursday. 5 goals against the Sabres on Sunday to break the record, or to tie the record.
5 goals, but I'm wanting to do it this way. And I think only Lemieux is the one to do this. Do it the 5 different ways. Even strength, power play, shorthanded, penalty shot, and empty netter.
Yep. That's the recipe, boys. All right. Congratulations, Lindy, on winning 600 with the Sabres. That's one hell of an accomplishment. This team is an unserious franchise. I don't care if they don't finish in last place. They're not in the postseason. They have every reason to be ashamed. They should clean house, sell the team.
Finally, hello, friends. Masters Week begins April 7th, and the voice of the Masters on CBS has announced that he is retiring.
Oh, really? When's Nance going to hang it up? Next season?
Well, Jim Nance says he's going to step aside after he calls the Masters.
Next season.
In 2036.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me do the math here. That's 11 years from now.
2036 will also mark the 100th anniversary of the Masters, so let the countdown begin.
Aha. I'm Jim Nance, and I'm bigger than the Masters. I'm Jim Nance. Your 100th anniversary means nothing to me.
It's about me.
Now, we mentioned this earlier, and some coward called us at 866-4326, barked something at you, and hung up the phone.
Yelling at me. And then I couldn't even get a word. Look, if you have a strong opinion, and remember, it's sports.
Yeah,
it's sports.
It's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
Yeah.
Like, for somebody to call up screaming, and then I'm ready to have the conversation. If I move you that much, or we move you that much that you're going to pick up the phone and scream, I'm going to listen, and I'll respond. But then to hang up, Joe.
You're an absolute coward, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And here's the thing.
Man.
Joe's point was he met Nance, and Nance is a good guy.
Yeah, Jim Nance was here in Rochester in 2023, and he was a good guy. Did I say he's not a good guy?
Not saying that at all.
No.
But I think you could still be a good guy or present yourself as a good guy. Like, if you're Jim Nance, you have the self-awareness to know you're in Rochester for the PGA Championship, and volunteers may come up to you and want to shake your hand or take a selfie, and you have to be self-aware enough to know, hey, if I don't do this, it's not going to look good. It's not good for my brand to appear to be bigger than the average person who's volunteering at a major. But he can still be an egomaniac. We don't know what he's like behind the scenes, and clearly this is a move. It's like, how full of yourself are you? You got to retire the year that they're celebrating their 100th anniversary? You got to retire 11. You got to give 11 years notice for your retirement. Who does that?
Well, Marv Levy once said, once you start thinking about retired,
you're already retired.
You're already retired. Like, if you have that goal in your mind, and I'm sure you have goals in your mind, I have goals in my mind. You know what I'm not saying? I'm not saying that on air.
Yeah.
I'm going to retire in 11
years. I'm not giving my 8-year, 9-year notice.
Point. Maybe this is the point where the guy called up and hung up on me. Just look into the future. Explain to me what CBS television is going to be. I hate to break it to you. Network television, kind of going downhill compared to, your Netflix and your YouTube and everything else.
Who knows what it looks like?
Who knows what it's going to look like? And furthermore, why does this guy get to call his own shot?
Well, it'll be his 51st year calling the Masters. 51, 1 year greater than 50.
We are not tuning in to watch Jim Nance.
I've called the Masters more than half of the years that the Masters has even been the Masters. That's why I will be retiring after 2036.
It'll be in Butler Cabin, and it'll all be about.
By the way, I'm sure he's great. I'm sure Nance is a great guy. We've never talked to him. I don't know. I'm sure he's a great guy. Jim, if you met him at the major and he shook your hand and was pleasant with you, fantastic. Doesn't mean that he has zero self-awareness when it comes to how he presents himself as a professional, or that he's an egomaniac. We don't know. He could be an egomaniac. It could be like your Olbermann story where he's got a handler. It's time for my vitamin C. I'll have my Perrier now. So, look, I think Nance can be a good guy, can also be an egomaniac simultaneously. I don't know who would say, I'm calling my shot and retiring 11 years from now. The old 11-year notice on leaving your job feels kind of unprecedented, but that's what Nance is doing. And if it was anybody, I like the way Vern went out. Vern Lundquist to me is the class of Masters broadcasters. Vern, I think, did it the right way. Kind of low key, got his recognition. He was a comforting voice, just like Nance is. But Vern didn't say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to retire in 10 years. Okay, what are we doing, Nance?
11 years. Has anybody called their shot like that?
The old 11-year notice. No, I've never heard of that ever.
What if like his skills start to diminish? Has he considered that? And if you don't believe me, like Bob Costas was this respected figure. He lost it.
Well, maybe that's where we start to see Nance making it more about himself during the Masters, because that's what Costas was doing, is really making it more about himself.
Right.
You become like there's a lack of self-awareness as a professional. You don't realize what you're doing. Well, we're just watching golf. We just want to be entertained by the golf. Last call, 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. You can have the final word in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. We close up shop next on The Fan.
866-4FAN, 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You can engage with us on X. That's Elon's Twitter. At The Fan Rochester. I'm at AKA Mike Danger. He is at Gene Battaglia. We mentioned this earlier. Peter put it to the poll, our official pollster on X. When Diggs comes back to Buffalo, how will fans react? Boos, applause, a little bit of both, or silence? Well, silence can rule that out. No. I think it's boos. I think it will be boos. I don't agree with it, but I just kind of get the sense that that's how it goes in the NFL. He's now the villain.
What did Diggs do before every game? Play catch. He really started that. He would play catch with Bills fans. Would he do that as a Patriot?
I'm just going to struggle with the idea that he's anything less than one of the best Bills wide receivers of all time. I can't get past that because of what he meant for his time here.
Will he ever come back to lead the charge, assuming we're still doing that?
I think so.
I think it's going to be a while.
It'll be a while. But I think so. I think it might take a regime change. It might mean that McDermott isn't the head coach of this team anymore.
Right. Like this year, write down Micah Hyde. If Jordan Poyer ends up not going anywhere, Jordan Poyer. Even though he played with the Dolphins. I don't think we – like for Diggs, it's complicated. Always has been.
Yeah.
Another person writing in beauty bets. Bet a friend, a Yankee fan, that the Blue Jays would have a better record than the Yankees this year. Who wins the bet?
Ooh.
Not you.
Ooh.
No.
Yankees better record than the Blue Jays, huh?
Hey, like, is Vladdy still on that team at the trade deadline if it goes south?
I listen to what Beauty Bets has to say when it comes to bets, man.
He's great on golf.
But I kind of like this. There's a reason why he's laying this out the way he's laying it out. What do you know? What do you know?
The fear is this, okay, and I've heard this. Like, a lot of the guys for the Yankees, they're just names. Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the best days are behind them.
Uh-huh.
Like, the protection for Judge is gone in Soto. But you have freed the Yankees will be farting around in the division. This is the division where you're going to have 4 teams within 5 games of one another.
All right, so you got the Red Sox, the Yankees, Orioles, and Blue Jays?
Correct. I don't have the Rays.
The Rays are going to have some struggles.
Although if you've seen those photos, they've completely redone Steinbrenner Field. Now it's all got the Rays stuff, which that's kind of weird.
Does it look like a major league park?
The answer is no.
Damn it.
No.
Is that too much to ask for? Can the Sacramento ballpark and Steinbrenner, can they look like major league parks? I know they can't because they weren't built that way, but damn it. That's going to be a weird thing to see. It's not going to feel right when it actually happens.
By the way, 4:10 tomorrow, Paul Skeens on the mound in Miami.
God, he's good. I don't know why they just don't trade him now. Go ahead. Trade him now. You're never going to pay that guy what he's worth. Get something back. Trade him now to a team that we actually care about.
Send him to the Mets. Uncle
Steve
Steve
you
would
take him, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. What do you want?
You would take him? I think I would take him for the Cubs.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Sell me on it.
Good. Yeah.
No, sell me on it. Okay, all right, I'm listening. Matty Glab from BuffaloBills.com and One Bills Live stopped by the sports bar earlier today. Also, PJ Glasser was an unbelievable sport as we did our Baltimore Ease bracket 2025 and laid out some bets for the Sweet 16 and Major League Baseball futures. If you missed either conversation, you can find them wherever you get your podcast. Search out the sports bar, and you'll find us on your favorite platform.